Good afternoon. Welcome to the April 13, 2026 meeting of the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. My name is Chris Anderson. I'm the vice chair. Chairman Ethan Collier is absent today. The RPA staff has reviewed each case that we'll hear today and made a recommendation. Planning commissioners have received the staff reports for the cases on today's agenda and have had time to review the case information prior to this meeting. For those cases with staff recommendations to approve or approve with conditions, I will ask the staff if there is any opposition to the case or to the conditions. If there is none, unless a planning commission member requests a staff presentation, we will proceed to a roll call vote or a voice vote. For staff recommendations to deny or cases with opposition, we will begin with the staff presentation. Following that presentation, planning commissioners will have the opportunity to question the staff. Then I will ask the applicant to come to the podium. The applicant will then have 7 minutes to present their case. There will be a time clock, keeping track of that. If there is any opposition, it is their turn next. They have a combined total of 9 minutes. One person in opposition means 9 minutes. 9 people in opposition means 9 minutes. So if you are here on a case where multiple people would like to speak, I ask that you please be courteous to the other people behind you in line because you will line up over here behind the podium if you want to speak in opposition. After the opposition speaks, the applicant will then have 2 additional minutes to respond, giving both the applicant and the opposition 9 minutes total. Planning commissioners will deliberate at that point and may or may not have questions of the applicant, may or may not have questions of the opposition. Cases are decided by a simple majority vote. Once your case is finished, some of you are going to want to talk to each other, or opposition and applicant will want to talk after some of these cases. That is a great thing. We ask that you do it right out there in the lobby and not in this room so we can proceed with the next case and run efficiently so people can leave when they need to leave today. We have a lot of people who are volunteering their time to be here today in the audience and be good citizens. We thank you for that. A few housekeeping items. Please silence your phones. Please look at your phone right now and see if your ringer is on. And if it is on, please turn it off. Reminder, the Planning Commission has no authority over traffic regulations, building codes, or stormwater regulations. Please direct your comments to the Planning Commission when you're at the podium. Do not direct your comments to the audience or the applicant. Only those at the podium will be recognized. Do not speak or shout from your seat, please. Once Planning Commission takes action, if you have any questions, please contact a staff member in the next several days. Note that for most requests, other than subdivisions, Planning Commission makes a recommendation. Final action on any request today, other than plats, is taken by the Chattanooga City Council if it's in the city limits of Chattanooga, or the County Commission if it's in unincorporated Hamilton County. Both of those occur 1 month from now, roughly, allowing another opportunity for input. The Planning Commission does not rezone anything ever. Only elected bodies can do that. We make recommendations, they take them or not. We will now start with subdivisions. So Brian, if we could start with under old business, item 26-2.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. This case was before this body last month for a preliminary plat, lots 1 through 14 of Serenity Hills subdivisions. There were some questions last month from the opposition related to an application to the state in terms of the wells and impact on the adjacent wells, basically, and waiting to see if that information had been approved or resubmitted to TDEC. Also, the opposition sent, I'll let them speak to this, but I do have a drawing that they'd like to discuss today about this property in terms of drainage impacts. This plat, as was noted last month, it does meet the preliminary plat requirements with conditions. The approval of a TDEC does not impact any bearing on the preliminary plat, because if that's not approved by TDEC, this plat is basically void. This property also is in the countryside residential place type of Plan Hamilton. And for the record and for the applicant to be aware that there are some design standards that are in that countryside residential place type that need to be shown. If this plat moves forward, the preliminary or final plat, that's the perimeter buffer requirements in Plan Hamilton. It says they have to be minimum 30 feet on center If existing vegetation is equivalent to or greater along the perimeter, the existing vegetation would count towards this requirement. Behind this said buffer, there's a 25-foot rear setback and a 10-foot side setback if the house is adjacent to this buffer. So the developer needs to be aware there are some perimeter buffer requirements in the countryside residential place type that needs to be shown when this final plat comes back for this body. But as drawn today in terms of preliminary plat, it does meet the requirements and staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions for staff? Hearing none, applicant, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mike Price, MAP Engineers, representing Mark Juma, the developer. So this did come before this body last month, and subsequently to that, there was a neighborhood meeting that was held last Tuesday night. The meeting overall went well, I thought. There were some times it got a little contentious, but at the end of the day, I think it ended on a good note. With that, we came up with some conditions that we've agreed to self-impose, which include such items as a retention pond to have a functioning fountain. I've given you the list. But the main thing is what we said is that no work would begin on the site until we receive the TDEC approval and also Hamilton County water quality. Now, we have been in discussions with TDEC. What they tell us is we will get a permit. Not if, not maybe, we will receive a permit. And at the end of the day, as this body is aware, a preliminary plat only gives you the right to look at constructing a subdivision. Until we receive the necessary permits, we can't begin work. The problem is that if we get this deferred again, then I could get my permit next week from TDEC and I have to wait another 3 weeks. And I don't see any reason that they should wait when the conditions that we've agreed address the issues as it relates to the development, which is we can't begin until we have all the necessary permits in hand. Well, then at that rate, we should be able to be allowed to begin construction. There's health department permits to obtain. There's Hamilton County water quality permits to obtain. There's TDEC permits to obtain. Until we get our permits, we can't begin. All this body is required to do is to give us a permit as it relates, or approval as it relates to the preliminary plat, and then we'd go through and do our necessary work to get it completed afterwards. I would point out one of the things that I've not paid attention to that I'd heard at the beginning of this meeting is that this body doesn't oversee stormwater regulations. This is a stormwater issue. It's a sinkhole. So therefore, by default, I think this body should move forward and approve since you don't have any jurisdiction over that, as I understand it. So we've met the requirements as it relates to all of the issues that have been brought before us. The opposition wants more, but we've abided by the rules. And if we've abided by the rules, then we should be able to move forward as I see it. If there's any questions, happy to answer those.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, I don't see any. So the opposition now has 9 minutes. If you could come forward, please clearly state your name and address before speaking at the podium today.
Hey there, my name is Sarah Deal. I live west of the proposed development at 8416 Serenity Trail. So at the last meeting, County Attorney Varnell and Mr. Janeway clarified that your primary duty is to protect the public health and safety when you consider approving or denying a plat. So today I'm putting the commission on formal actual notice that approving Mark Juma's plat, while he's currently under 2 separate active and open TDEC investigations, creates a documented public health risk for which the county will be held liable. Now, the first investigation is the most critical. TDEC is currently reviewing this proposal's compliance with the anti-degradation rule and the non-endangerment standard due to a high risk of preferential flow in our karst topography. Now, preferential flow is the scientific term for what happened in Smiths Grove, Kentucky. In that case, runoff into a single sinkhole bypassed all natural filtration and contaminated nearly 90 private wells in a matter of hours. Now, some of those wells that were contaminated were 3 miles away from the sinkhole, and our wells range from 600 to 1,100 feet from the sinkhole. So the second investigation involves Mr. Juma's failure to disclose the number of wells within the area of review, including an active well in a home that he purchased, remodeled, and is currently renting adjacent to this project site on Serenity Trail. Now, the developer claims they aren't changing the quantity of water to the sinkhole, but they are ignoring the drastic impact of water quality. So as that diagram will show, right now there's 300 feet of grass and soil that act as a natural sponge that filter runoff from the adjacent 22-acre neighborhood. The developer wants to pave over that filter and pipe road runoff directly into the sinkhole. This creates a straight shot for oil, salt, and chemicals to hit our wells. Now, by law, you cannot authorize a project that endangers a drinking water supply. Approving this plat today, while the state is still determining if this is a legal and environmental violation, would be an intentional disregard for public safety. You have the authority to prevent a public health crisis before it starts. If you approve this plat today, you're likely authorizing the direct contamination of our neighborhood's water. We ask you to deny this proposal and require a formal dye trace study to map the flow from the sinkhole to our wells so that the safety of our water is scientifically proven. Do not prioritize a developer's timeline over the lives and health of your constituents. I appreciate your efforts in protecting our drinking water. Thank you.
Subdivision regulations state,
Ms.
That's-
Hilton, can you,
oh, sorry, Kim Helton, 8618 Snow Hill Road.
thank you.
The stormwater regulations state, the subdivision regulations state that stormwater regulations must be followed. And according to the subdivision regulations, a preliminary plat becomes effective once the planning commission approves it. This plat doesn't meet those regulations. The Hamilton County Water Quality Regulations state the purpose is to maintain and improve the quality of receiving waters into which the stormwater outfalls flow, including without limitation groundwater. The subdivision regulations state Hamilton County Water Quality Regulations shall apply to stormwater discharge, any stormwater discharge. The Stormwater Manual provides guidance to achieve the required treatment parameters. Under filtration practices, strict standards are required to prevent groundwater contamination, including a 1,200-foot setback from private and public water wells. The 6 drinking wells are 600 to 1,100 feet away. The adjacent subdivision was developed before stormwater regulations were created. So this new plan for stormwater doesn't mimic the current conditions. The existing stormwater would be captured and discharged from an 18-inch pipe 50 feet from the sinkhole, which is an 85% reduction in distance, and the stormwater would be concentrated. TDEC hasn't issued a Class 5 permit, of course, as we heard. And Tennessee defines waters of the state as any and all waters, public or private, on or beneath the surface of the ground. The NPDES permit states stormwater control measures must be designed to provide full treatment capacity within 72 hours and achieve an overall treatment efficiency of 80% TSS removal. The construction permit states outfalls draining more than 10 acres, included disturbed and undisturbed portions of a site and areas adjacent to the site. A minimum sediment basin volume that provides treatment for calculated volume or of runoff from a 2-year, 24-hour storm and runoff from each acre drained is required. The Erosion Prevention Sediment Control Handbook states, all runoff created within or routed through the limits of disturbance require treatment. Planners must ensure selected measures have the capacity to retain, store, and treat the associated runoff from each drainage area before discharge via an outfall. Despite all of these requirements, a sediment basin or a permanent stormwater treatment measure isn't provided for the stormwater before discharging to the sinkhole. And you have copies of all those in front of you. The hydrology report states the sinkhole overflow will travel to the retention pond, but no drainage path is identified on the plan as required so that erosion is minimized. Also, any overflow path could cross field line easements on multiple lots. Plan Hamilton designates this property as countryside residential, and that should also be noted. So according to the subdivision regulations, it must follow the stormwater regulations, and this plat should be denied. Thank you.
We have just over 3 minutes remaining.
Hello, I'm Patrick Deal. I live at 8416 Serenity Trail, just west of the development. And I'm just gonna bring up a couple things. There's a new thing that came up, that there's a natural gas line, a pipeline, that's a huge pipeline. It's built in the 50s. You'll see it in the picture that I've got up on the screen. It's labeled in yellow there. It goes right across the easement where this new road's gonna go and where the utilities are gonna go. And so I'm curious about how that's gonna impact the development. And apparently these things are pretty hard to work around. The second thing is, last month was, you guys deferred for 30 days due to the TDEC, issue. That issue, I don't think there's been any movement on that issue in 30 days, nothing new to report. It's on investigation. TDEC tells us it could take up to June 4th to get a ruling on it. So my recommendation to you guys is to defer again, and since there's been nothing new. Thank you.
Sir, can you come back up to the podium? We do have time for you as well, sir. Commissioner Highlander has a question.
Yes, sir.
I want to get this straight. I believe I understand this. Those people on Serenity Lane rather, do not have access to public water. You have only access to the well water. You have no alternative. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we use 100% well water.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, please come up. We have just under 2 minutes remaining.
My name is Scott Gadd, 7930 Clara Chase Drive. That last picture is my house, my land. The concern I have is you look at that last picture, the sinkhole's in the back of the farm field. There's no access to get to that sinkhole. Okay, so you would have to cross my lawn, or you can't ride your bike, you can't drive your car. There's no way to get there because there's a private driveway on Serenity Trail. Now you're gonna ignore the sinkhole and not repair it, not fix it, not do anything because you can't fix it, according to what I was told. So when you build a road that goes right in front of it, everybody in the neighborhood or in other neighborhoods can just drive their car right in, and imagine all the kids riding their bikes. Imagine all the kids walking the dog, and they walk onto the grass, fall into the sinkhole. Whose responsibility for that? Right now, it's the developer owns it. He says it can't fix it. Well, all the other sinkholes that I've heard about all got fixed. This one isn't going to get fixed. They're not going to touch it, is a quote. So now we're going to have a street, a nice brand new public street that's going to go right in front of it. And you have full access from anybody that wants to can drive there and go in there, and someone can play and fall into that sinkhole. 20-foot sinkhole. Now we got a pond up there. I don't know why the pond isn't the opposite switched with the sinkhole, but they said you can't fix the sinkhole and you can't convert it to a retention pond or whatever. I'm not an engineer. I don't know that. All I'm concerned about is who's going to take responsibility if someone falls in the sinkhole? Because right now you don't even know it's there from most neighborhoods around it. Now you're going to drive right by it. That's all I got.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the opposition before we? Adam, Commissioner Barron.
Brian, do our regulations require water quality or soil perk studies up front in advance of the preliminary plat? How does that work?
Typically what happens now, the preliminary plat gets presented to this body. If it's on sewer, you submit sewer plans and water utility plans and road profiles. If this body approves the preliminary plat, then they move into civil engineering plans, which deals with the stormwater, which deals with landscaping buffers. All the construction-related things are after this preliminary plat. Okay. The ones you see on the agenda today are the exact same way. That's a separate phase because, as the chairman mentioned, we don't review stormwater. Hamilton County water quality was on the review of this plat and has no concerns with the plat as presented today.
I got a question real quick of staff.
Yes, sir. Commissioner
If
Payne.
the concerns that have been voiced, if the preliminary is approved and then it becomes something they can't fix or is a problem to this engineering or whatever, with what happens? Then it goes away, or
That plat's just basically void. Yeah, if they want to come back with something different based on what they hear from TDEC, they can certainly come
So in
back.
other words, if TDEC came back and said, this is clearly, we're going to poison people's, or we're going to pollute people's drinking water, This is
It's
void.
It
It's
doesn't move
dead.
forward. He can't move forward any other permits from stormwater through Hamilton County Water Quality, Hamilton County Engineering. They won't issue permits to move forward. So this approval does nothing.
Any other questions before I call the applicant up for rebuttal? Yes, sir. Oh, sorry. Mr. Byrd.
Question for staff. There's a question here from one of those in opposition about perimeter buffer and countryside residential.
Yeah, I read that off earlier.
Okay.
Underside residential place type. You typically don't show those unless it's an easement. Again, Plan Hamlin was adopted by the Planning Commission, not necessarily by the County Commission. So we're on record to let the applicant know you'll have to meet those perimeter buffer standards.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I guess I have a concern, several concerns, and I just can't see us moving forward with 2 investigations under TDEC. I just can't see us moving forward with some of the opposition, their concerns about their wells. They've asked for a few things from the developer, like some potential protection for the future. I don't know if it's preliminary to ask that or not until the investigation is finished, but and I'm concerned about the gas line. This gas line runs right through the middle of it. You can't work over the top of it. You're going to run water across it. I'm concerned that there's just so many unknowns in this one that I just can't vote to approve it to move forward.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Price, you have 2 minutes.
So let me correct a couple of items. One says we can't fix the sinkhole. There is no fixing the sinkhole. You leave the sinkhole alone. Secondly, we talk about concerns as it relates to the quality of life and that somehow this is going to jeopardize that. I would point out that every single home around this area is on a septic system. Yet there seem to be no concern as it relates to the aquifer with the fact that they're on septic field lines. Same thing that we're going to be on. Brian, if you'll pull up the picture that you had before of the site, let's point out a couple of things also. Where does all the stormwater runoff on Clara Chase Drive go into? It goes directly into the sinkhole. But there was no mention of the fact that that water coming off of a street with the oils and grits creates a problem. We also agreed to plant plants at the end of our storm pipe before going into the sinkhole to try to mimic that 300 feet. Mr. Johnson, as it relates to the gas easement, we go over those all the time. We'll get the necessary approval there. This is not a matter of quality of life being jeopardized. There's a discussion about providing some sort of protection around the sinkhole. That sinkhole's been there for at least 50 years. I don't know that anybody's fallen in and died to my knowledge. At the end of the day, people have to take responsibility for their actions. We're taking responsibility for our actions by meeting the requirements from TDEC, Hamilton County Water Quality, the plating process, agreeing to these additional conditions. We've even said we'll give a easement as it relates to a water line for any work in the future. Should the event happen that somehow this aquifer, this water gets contaminated in through here. Nothing can take place until TDEC approves it. Hamilton County Water Quality gives their approvals. All we're asking for is just allow us the right to be able to move forward. We've met the requirements. If anyone can name one requirement that we're not meeting as it relates to the plat process, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Price.
Thank
Your time is up. Yes.
I may be jumping the gun, but I think I would probably make a motion to approve this. But I want to make sure that that approval is expressly contingent upon required approvals for TDEC, and I'd also like to incorporate Mr. Price's proposed conditions into that approval as well.
Commissioner Barron, as I understand it, your motion is to approve with the conditions submitted by the applicant as well as make the approval contingent on TDEC approval. Is that correct?
Yeah, if that's
Okay.
logical. And of course, did you also mention Mr. Price's?
Yes, the applicant, yeah. Okay, we have a motion. We do not have a second. Do we have a second for this? Okay, we have a second. We have a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
I want to give the residents that live close by a little bit of comfort in the fact that we don't have to allow him to do anything just because he gets a preliminary plat today. One of the regulatory steps is that he has to get this preliminary plat before he can even go apply for a land disturbance permit. The land disturbance permit is when we then go through and do all the stormwater calculations and figure out what his impact is. We can't even start that process until he gets a preliminary plat. So I understand your concern, and we have concerns too. But we do feel like we can address these during the land disturbance permit phase of this. And then if he's not able to meet those requirements, we don't have to sign a final plat on this subdivision. So with that, I think the right thing to do, I don't see a legally defensible reason why we would hold this up any longer.
Any further comments for discussion on this motion from the commission? Yes, sir. Commissioner Caudle.
The statement was made to wait for the TDEC report. I just don't see why it's unreasonable to even defer another 30 days until we get the report. That's just my thinking.
All right, thank you, sir. Any further comments from commission? Hearing none, we will proceed with the vote. The vote is on the motion to approve with conditions and contingent on TDEC approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, who was the no's? Dr. Caudle and Johnson and Highlander. Thank you.
Brian, let's move on to HCSD-26-4, please.
This is a preliminary plat, Phase 5, the Hideaway at Edgestone subdivision off McDaniel Road, lots 96A and 101 through 117. Staff recommends to approve with conditions.
Any questions for staff? Have a motion to approve with conditions, you mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Is there anybody here in opposition?
Is there anybody here in opposition? Have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve with conditions. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to HCSD-26-5.
This again is another preliminary plat. This is just north of the city of Lakeside. This is Lakeside Commons subdivision, lots 1 through 123. Staff has reviewed this plat with a few corrections and recommends to approve with conditions.
Is there any opposition present for this case?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion that's been properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. HCSD-26-6.
Another preliminary plat. This is new to our area. This is the retreats at White Oak. This is a planned unit development. This is phase 3 of that overall development off Sila Road. This is lots 229 through 287. Staff, and that staff also includes the Hamilton County Water Quality, Engineering, and Fire Marshal. It comes to this body with a recommendation to approve.
Is there any opposition present?
Move to approve.
Have a motion that's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. HCSD-26-7.
Mr. Chairman, this is a preliminary plat for, I think it's called Snowy Outlook, lots 1 through 24. There's still some concerns with this plat, and staff is recommending to defer for 30 days. Also noted, this is in the Plan Hamilton. Should be noted, the applicant needs to be aware of this, that the rural corridor and countryside residential development standards that apply to this, and that's in terms of related to perimeter buffer. Also required is a 50-foot setback from the right-of-way for any structure, including water features. One of their detention ponds is just right here off of Mayhang Gap. It probably does not meet that distance requirement, so staff is recommending to defer. I think he's been working with the staff on some changes, but we recommend defer at this time until it meets those standards.
Second.
Okay, that was not a motion, Commissioner
sorry.
Highlander.
Sorry.
Commissioner Payne, I believe you have the floor, sir.
Thought he was motioning.
He had a question.
Is he okay with 30?
According to him, he said he was.
Okay.
He's
Move to
he's
defer.
here.
Second.
We have motion to defer for how long?
30 days.
30 days. That's been properly seconded. Is there any opposition present? We do have opposition present. Is the applicant present? Why don't we have the applicant, unless you waive your 7 minutes, why don't we have you come up, Mr. Ingram, and present for up to 7 minutes, and then we do have one opposition speaker.
Joseph Ingram, Gore and Associates. Yeah, this is a rural plat. We're like 1.38 units per acre. And so we're working our way through the new rural county regulations. And then we had a little bit of holdup on our soils, and then just consolidating the lots, the detention pond into lots where they didn't have legal frontage. So we had some issues there, but kind of Mr. Price made my case about a lot of it's stormwater stuff that we got to work through when we get down to design, but we're comfortable with deferring it because we just want to make sure everybody's, aware of what's going on. And I'll look forward to the input from the neighbors.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ingram. Ms. Helton, you can come forward.
Kim Helton, 8618 Snow Hill Road. And I just gave you copies of what the plan says about the rural corridor and the countryside residential. That's already been discussed, but there are a couple things with this location. It's a very dangerous intersection that I travel very often. I am in a high-profile vehicle, and it is very difficult to see turning left. You cannot see the cars coming up above the hill. You just have to wait, look at a spot down at the road and wait and give enough time for a car to come up the hill before you even attempt to pull out. Now, this would be right across from there. So I think that a traffic study needs to be made for this. It is very difficult on the sight distance, and having vehicles coming out on the other side is going to make it even more difficult. So I would request a traffic study be made. And of course, in the rural corridor, it says that they can ask for right-of-way so that a turn lane could be placed there. That's something that could probably be beneficial too. I think this intersection really needs to be studied before something is allowed to go in there. There's also a statement on the plat that I've never seen before, and it's something to do with flooding concerns for neighbor properties. And so I hope that is looked into as well. I've never seen that statement, so I would hope that you would look at that as well before this is approved. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant or opposition?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Commissioner
Just in
Payne.
terms of the traffic study, my understanding of a traffic study is a count or, number of cars, daily commutes, what time. I'm asking this generally. Part of what the engineering is to look at sight lines. There's a limit. We can't, the county will not let you put connect the road on a major road if there's not a certain amount of sight line, irregardless of a traffic study. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, believe we have 2 minutes for you, Mr. Ingram, for rebuttal.
One of the conditions of the approval was indeed a traffic study. And almost Mr. Payne called it, the traffic study is car counts, but we'll have to, they want to look at sight distance. And the right of way exists. If you could zoom on the plat, for some reason, somewhere, I think it was because of the slope there. There's already the right of way exists, and we'll have to cut that. To get the sight distance, we'll have to cut that hill down on our property. But that's one of the requirements. So, and we were ready to move ahead with that. And I think it's a new county note that we added to the plat. It wasn't some note, we didn't think it up. But like I said, we're still comfortable with 30 days to get this worked out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ingram. What's the will of the commission? I have a motion that's been properly seconded to defer this item for 30 days. Any discussion on the item? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. Brian, case HCSD 26-8.
This is a final plat for Sedgman Hills subdivision, phase 6, lots 332 to 367 and community lots 368. Staff has reviewed this plat and recommends to approve with conditions.
Is there any opposition present? What's the will of the commission?
Approve with conditions.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Did you see that?
Yes.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. Yes, sir. Mr. may be recused on that one, Brian. Thank you. And let's move forward to case HCSD-26-9.
This is also a preliminary plat for Crabtree Hollow subdivision, lots 1 through 52. Staff on the screen says actually defer 30 days. It should be approved with conditions.
Is there any opposition present? What's the will of the commission? Is the applicant present?
And Mr. Chair, let me clarify. When I say conditions for subdivision plats, they're not like zoning conditions. It's conditions that's required on the subdivision regulations. Little
Like something is
corrections.
missing and you need
Yes.
to add this.
Yeah, it's not like zoning conditions.
Yeah. Have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve with conditions. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. HCSD 26-10.
This one is correct. This is also a preliminary plat. This is Hamilton Hunter subdivision, lots 1600 through 1723. This is Hamilton Hunter. The staff recommends to defer this subdivision plat. One of the reasons for the deferral is so WWTA can review this plat. So far, sewer capacity has only been approved for 50 lots. This subdivision plat is more than 50 lots. So that's one of the reasons for the deferral of this plat, for them to work with WWTA on the sewer capacity issues.
Is there any opposition present?
Second.
I have a motion to defer 30 days that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Yes, sir, Mr. Maybe. Brian, Mr. Maybe recused on that one. Thank you. HCSD 26-11.
This is a final subdivision plat. It's a planned unit development. It's Dallas Station. We've seen several phases of this plat before. This is phase one, lots 1 through 15 and 44 through 55, and community lots 900 and 902. Staff recommends to approve this final plat.
Is there any opposition present? I have a motion to approve that's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, case HCSD 26-12.
This again is another preliminary plat. This is out in Udawal, not Udawal, but Appleton. This is the Avery at Magnolia Farm subdivision. This was a planned unit development. This is phase one of that development, lots 1 through 66. 148 through 161, and community lots 900 through 901. Staff recommends to approve with conditions. Again, those conditions are things that need to be shown on the preliminary plat.
Is there any opposition present?
Second.
Is that with conditions, Commissioner? I have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve with conditions. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, SDP 26-4.
This is a Christopher final plat. This plat is in the city of Chattanooga. This is Lily Acres subdivision, lots 1 through 52. Staff recommends to approve with conditions.
Is there any opposition present?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve with conditions that's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the item? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, case, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Commissioner Adamson is recused on that one, Brian. Case SDP 26-5.
This is a final plat. This is off Webb Road in the city of Chattanooga. This is the Villas at Waterstone Ridge subdivision, which is a planned unit development. This is another phase of that development. This is lots 153 through 178. Staff recommends to approve this plat with conditions.
Is there any opposition present? I have a motion to approve with conditions that's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, let's move on to number 12, case SDP 26-28, or -8.
Sure.
Excuse me.
This is a preliminary plat. This is out in East Brainerd. This is off Graham Road. It's Graham, don't have a name for the subdivision plat yet, but on the agenda, it's called Graham Road Residential Subdivision. It's for lots 1 through 29. Staff recommends to approve.
Is there any opposition present?
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, we're going to move into old business now under rezoning. When we get to new business is when I want to move one of the cases up,
Sure.
but let's handle these two on old business first. So we've got under rezonings, we have 2026-0028.
And Mr. Chairman, that case has actually been withdrawn. This was actually in front of the Planning Commission last month. We met actually Emily met with the applicant and realized she cannot do what she wants to do, so actually she withdrew the case.
All right, so we don't need to take any action to withdraw, or do we?
You have to vote because you deferred it last month.
Okay. So she has asked to withdraw. is
Yes.
what- Okay. I have a motion that's been properly seconded to withdraw this case. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Number 2 on old business, case 2026-0034.
Sure, this is 7810, 7816 Shafford Road, and 2437, 2441 Jenkins Road. This was before this body last month. There was some opposition present, and I think it was deferred for the applicant to meet with the surrounding neighborhoods to have a discussion, dialogue. Just as a reminder, this is a request to rezone a portion of this property. The majority of it's already zoned CC, which used to be our old C2 zone. They wanted to rezone the area highlighted in red, which is RN2 to CC for expansion of a convenience store or new convenience store. It's roughly 3.41 acres in size. There's been a lot of zoning history in this area, from the subject property to the budding properties. A lot of that has been denied over the years, except that one CC in the corner there. Won't go through that unless somebody has any questions. But currently, the corner of Shalford Road and Jenkins, that's a vacant piece of property. The property seeking to rezone is also vacant, but to the north is the institutional, which is Grace Baptist Church and School. The east are commercial uses and vacant land. To the south and west is single-unit residential. Here's a view of the site. North of the site. This is south of the site, some of the single-family dwellings. This is east of the site. These are 2 existing convenience stores at that roundabout. This is west of the site. That's Shalford Road. West of the site, again, more single-family dwellings. Here's Shalford Road. You can see single-family dwellings. This property is in the East Brainerd Area Plan, which is adopted by the City Council in 2022. The place type recommendation is suburban residential. Here's a closer view of that plan recommendation right here in the red circle. Again, you see the lighter pink, that's the existing CC, but just abutting that is suburban residential. This site plan you see on the screen today is a site plan submitted last month. Again, the majority of this site, which is in white, is already zoned CC. Allows a convenience store. And to the right in the gray was where they were proposing to do a car wash as part of the convenience store. And the remainder of this was a service drive to the property. Staff last month recommended, well, you don't need the entire site to do what you want to do on this property. Why not just rezone what's needed? And so staff recommended just to rezone the slivers in red to capture the driveway or access drive and the convenience store. So staff recommended last month to approve the area in red for rezoning. As of April 13th, the developer, I think, did hold a neighborhood association meeting with adjacent property owners. Staff looked at this and recommends to deny the applicant's request and approve CC commercial corridor zone for the part as shown in red with one condition. Animal care facilities with outdoor areas, hotels, live entertainment, secondary uses, nightclubs, and car washes are prohibited. This is the revised site plan based on the neighborhood meeting that the applicant had. As you can see, they've now shifted the car wash location from this gray area to left into what's already zoned CC. Rezoning this area in gray gives them the ability to have the access as well as additional parking, which matches what staff recommended to rezone from last month and keep the remainder of this zoned R1 in the back. I'll be glad to answer any questions, but staff recommends to deny the applicant's original request, but approve for CC with condition the areas highlighted in gray.
Before we hear from anybody else, does anyone have questions for staff on the Planning Commission? Mr. Payne.
Gray area, this is just really here, that is part of that gray area that you're showing additional parking, that vacuum space, is that considered part of the problem?
Let me turn your microphone on.
So the gray area where we moved the car wash, what you called additional parking, is that vacuum cleaner bays or?
I'll let the applicant speak to that. I don't think so. This is not your standalone car wash. This is tied to the convenience store. I don't know if they have vacuum areas or not. Maybe the applicant can answer that.
It doesn't really matter. I'm just asking because then you got in the letter of the law, is that part of the car wash? And if it is, it would be would it be
The
violating
conditions.
the conditions?
I'll let the applicant answer that. I don't know that for sure.
Any other questions for staff before we hear from the applicant? Okay, there was opposition last month. Is there opposition here this month? Yes, sir. All right. You'll have a moment to speak in just a moment. We'll hear from the applicant now. Please start with your name.
Yes, Melissa Clark. I'm the real estate director for Waggles Incorporated. We are looking to expand in this area with a convenience store and a mini tunnel car wash concept that we have. I did ask for some clarification because I too have those questions about, because originally when they sent us back what their conditions were going to be, it said something about we couldn't have the car wash on the northern section of the property. And so my question is, does that prohibit us from the parking lot or vacuum cleaners or all that? Right now, we have the vacuums proposed adjacent to the actual car wash. We have not proposed them on the other side at this point, just because we were trying to be sensitive to the neighborhood. We flipped the layout particularly because that was the first concerns that the homeowners had was, trying to get as far away from the residential as we could. We are proposing the landscape buffer. We held the meeting on the 29th of March on a Sunday afternoon. We had a good turnout of 40 or so people there. We discussed a variety of different issues from noise to traffic. We are proposing some traffic changes. We've got a completed traffic study done for Jenkins, the roundabout at that location. We're proposing an additional lane as well as widening of Jenkins Road up to at least our entrance. Some of you may or may not know, we have we're under negotiations or discussions with the city of Chattanooga for the adjacent lot to utilize as a fire station. That's not in stone yet. It hasn't been voted on, but I didn't want it to come up and you all not know that that was something that we've been in discussions with them about. We have a signed letter of intent, but we have not sold that property or purchased the original at this point. So yes, the plan would be if there are any vacuum cleaners, they would be closer to the building. You could potentially see some in and use that back lane as parking only, but I think you're going to see them just close to the building based on our discussions with the homeowners association. We don't want to cause any trouble. And so we talked about also encasing those to reduce any noise that would be there. We discussed our hours with them, what we would shut down by 8 p.m. every night for the car wash location. We also discussed lighting with them. We'll use our dark sky lighting package on this site and provide a photometric plan when we go through the site plan process showing no light escaping our actual location. So we have worked hard. We want to be good citizens. Our theory is if the neighborhood doesn't like us, they won't shop there and then it does nobody any good. So we do want to do something that's beneficial to the neighborhood and makes it better in the end. Any other questions for us?
Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Commissioner Johnson.
will there be a dryer system? Those large dryers put out a lot of noise.
Inside the building, is that what you're discussing?
Yeah, when the car's finished, they go through. I've been
Yeah.
around some that the dryers are external and they make a significant amount of noise.
We do have dryers that will be in there. They measured the noise level, which they got about 70 if you were 20 to 25 feet away,
Okay.
which is why we moved it to the center of the lot. Once you get to the outer edges, we think it'll be at about 62 based on our other car wash locations, which is about the sound of your air conditioner of your car.
Any other questions for the applicant before we hear from opposition? Right, seeing none, Melissa, you can come back up in a few minutes for 2 minutes of rebuttal. Yes, sir.
My name is Joseph DeZick. I'm at 2216 Jenkins Road. I'm not speaking for or against the project. I just want to point out that there is no such address as 2437 and 2441 Jenkins Road. As a matter of fact, the 2400 block of Jenkins Road is down where the Brainerd Masonic building is, which is about a half mile away. So if you approve this, you're approving something a half a mile away from the corner. So I just wanted to point that out, and see if you want to. I didn't know if once you approved it, then it messes somebody else up half mile away and doesn't give the proper approval.
If it's just a mistake on the agenda, Dr. DeZiek, I think we'll be fine. But let's verify that before we.
The address is really 2200 block of Jenkins Road, and you've got it as the 2400 block, which is again about a half mile away.
Yeah, we can't rezone anybody else's property. The legal descriptions that we draft describing this property is the most important thing. We'll
All right.
double check it again because we get our addresses from GIS and double check all that.
I just wanted to point that out. If they want to have a car wash, convenient for me also. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to be heard today on this case?
Frank says hello.
Hello, tell her I said hello too. Good to see you, Joe.
Hi, William Lloyd, 2020 Galahad Road in Chattanooga. First of all, I want to commend the RPA staff. They do a really good job of looking at the cases that come up. And in this particular case, definitely appreciate the work. But I would say this, anytime rezoning happens, it's either a benefit or a detriment to a community. And in this particular case, I would say that this is a detriment to our community. We are a residential neighborhood. And what is proposed here, Weigel's, is essentially a commercial enterprise that basically goes by heavily traveled thoroughfares. Amnicola Highway, Shallowford Road by 153, a roundabout where Shallowford and Jenkins meet, where those two roads are essentially rural two-lane roads, is not in conjunction with what their typical business model is. Additionally, the impact to our residential neighborhood is notable and leads to the detriment of our neighborhood in the following ways. There is a designated bike lane that runs on Shallowford Road from about Murray Lane, which is around the church, all the way actually a little bit through the roundabout. That's going to be compromised. We do see bikers go on that lane. We've actually seen little kids with scooters use that bike lane. And so now with a commercial enterprise the size of a Weigel's coming in there, that's going to be compromised in some way. People at the YMCA use Shallowford Road sidewalk as kind of a training. They do walking, they do jogging. And now potentially if this rezoning is approved, which allows the Weigel's to go there, you now have a compromise of that quality of life for those people that exercise and they run from early in the morning when it's dark to in the evening time. So now we have this big commercial enterprise with this bulk of traffic coming, compromising that quality of life. Additionally, Jenkins Road, which again is in disrepair, it's a two-lane highway. There are kids that live along Jenkins Road that in the mornings get out for the school buses. They're waiting on the side of the road. Jenkins has no shoulder. It's right there. And so we're talking about bringing this kind of commercial traffic where these kids are standing there, school buses are there. It presents a quality of life hazard to those kids and definitely concerned about the safety. Finally, rezoning, I get it. And this is kind of a compromise. We're not rezoning the whole thing, but it's incrementalism. So today you say, okay, we're going to do not the whole thing they asked for, we'll do this little part. Okay, incremental, right? Kind of like what happens with disease, right? It starts in the body a little bit and it spreads until suddenly the body is destroyed. So today we do this incremental piece and then, I don't know, somewhere down the road, we've set a precedent here. The next person comes and suddenly we have commercial property all the way up to all the residential. It's not a good trade-off. It compromises our residential quality of life, and I would urge the commission to not approve this rezoning.
We have about 4 minutes left for opposition.
I'll be quick. Alan Falk, 2115 Merlin Drive, representing the Drake Forest HOA. We did have a community meeting, much better turnout than I expected from a lot of the surrounding communities. I would say aside from the concerns that she brought up about lighting and noise, Bill touched on it, but the commercial creep is a huge concern for a lot of neighborhoods. We've already had to fight a potential hotel on that next piece of property that was being rezoned or asked to be rezoned to go there. So if you rezone this piece to commercial, Bill's got a great point. That commercial creep's just gonna keep coming and keep coming. That's gonna devalue that current residential property. No one's gonna wanna build a single family home there if you've got a car wash right next to it. So that's probably the biggest concerns that came out of the meeting. A lot of pros and cons. Some people did like the idea of a Weigel's there. They make very good convenience stores. But I don't see the need to rezone the piece for the car wash. So even that plan that you showed a minute ago, I don't think you need that additional piece to the west. They can build everything they've got there without rezoning that piece. So especially if you take away the car wash or the vacuum. So we've asked them several times, would you be willing to build just the gas station without the car wash? And we didn't get an answer to that at the community meeting. So I'm going to go up my time because I know there's some folks here that didn't get a chance to attend that meeting.
Thank you. We have two more speakers, and can we pause the clock for a second? I believe Commissioner Highlander has a question.
Mr. Chairman, this is a question for staff, if I may.
Please.
Brian, how far is it from this proposed site to the church and school? I know there's a lot of
It's
traffic.
across the
around-
street. Do you remember, Karen? I think she measured recently. It's with a right of way is probably 75 to 100 feet. So yeah, it's probably at least 200 feet away.
Okay. I just know there's a lot of traffic coming
Yeah.
out of that church and school.
And just and remember, just be clear, I think everybody's aware of this, just making sure that the area in white, in this South End where the convenience store is located, that's already zoned CC, so they can do that convenience store in that property as zoned today.
Right.
But this is a convenience store, and often they sell alcohol, and they'll have to meet the bureau codes, distance requirements from that church, because the church is right across the street.
Okay, thanks, sir.
You can come on up, ma'am, and we have about just over 2.5 minutes and two of you left.
I'll be very brief. My name is Robin Wright. I'm a resident of Shell Street, and this property that they're wanting is close as you are to me. So we are definitely opposed, and we definitely don't want the car wash at all. We have been through a lot in our neighborhood in the last 6 years. So we really would like your appreciation, your time and devotion, and I thank you for every one of your ears. Good day.
Thank you. Sir, you can come forward. We have just under 2 minutes.
My name is Ademar Vasquez. I live, well, I saw the picture of our property right there. And my main concern is about the safety of kids. We typically use that sidewalk on Charlotte Road to walk our dogs or walk our families all the time. I've been living there for about 15 years, and I don't think we need a car wash or either a gas station right there because we have one already. And I think they tried to put one before that they ended up abandoning it, like the BP gas station front of the Grace Baptist Church, and nobody was using that gas station. So I appreciate your time, and we are opposed to this.
Thank you, sir. If you want to come back up, do you want to ask your?
Yeah, I'll ask it of staff while Melissa's coming up. Brian, in the plan, are they required to put sidewalks?
I believe so. As
What
part
is
of
the
it.
requirement?
Yes.
On both sides, on Jenkins and Shallowford?
I'm not sure that that's transportation division. I don't, whatever the
Okay.
street standards are.
Okay.
Again, now, just remember, if you're thinking towards conditions, the area in white where that abuts is already zoned CC. They're not asking for that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So we're
Again,
only
the
dealing, we're only
area we're
dealing with
looking at is
the,
the area in gray.
gotcha. Okay.
We are proposing to maintain and improve that bike lane as part of the road improvements in our traffic study. And it shows sidewalks. And again, widening of Jenkins Road and sidewalks if they're required.
And Melissa, you all have a couple different models that you use. Is the model without the car wash an option for that space? Do you have enough space to do the model without?
You mean just put the store on there? We have enough space to put the store on there. Not if we didn't get the rezoning in the back. It does not meet our minimum requirements to do it without the car wash.
Okay.
So I don't, and he said, can you tell me for sure? And I can tell you it doesn't meet our requirements. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't go back and maybe consider, selling a piece of that property to be able to make, everything work. But It does not meet our requirements without the car
is.
wash. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why we flipped it and showed it the way that we did. I also would love some clarification to make sure that with the condition of no car wash that you're showing on the new rezoning pieces, can we still do the concept plan as shown? I guess that's the question that I have.
Those conditions only apply to the area in gray.
Okay, so I can
So-
still have parking there, just no car wash?
Yes, whatever those conditions stated, let me pull those up again.
Okay, no building, correct?
You still have buildings, you just can't have animal care facilities, the outdoor areas, couldn't have a
Yeah.
hotel, live entertainment, which is secondary use, basically, a nightclub or a standalone car wash. You could not be in that gray area.
Okay, but I could have the parking for the use of the
Yes.
car wash, okay. That's what I wanted to clarify, I didn't wanna,
I don't, depends on how codes enforcement determines what kind of parking is.
yeah, that's my concern, I feel like it's a little vague, you know, if I can have the use of
If it's just
parking or not.
parking, I don't know. If it's parking plus the vacuum cleaners, that's
Yeah.
different for me, but
And
I'm
like I
not
said,
codes
we don't
enforcement.
have a problem keeping the vacuum cleaners next to the building, I think that's kind of what we were talking about with the community anyways, and encasing those.
If it's just, I think if it's just, it doesn't say anything about parking, it just says a car wash, and I think that would mean anything associated with that car wash, whether
I
it's
think-
vacuums or.
I'm sorry. If I was you, I'd want clarification. Because
Yeah.
to me, you got even if you take the vacuums out, you got your entrance into the tunnel, which
Yeah,
in
I may
any other
have
business, if you're
signage
driving
or-
into McDonald's, that's part of
Yeah.
McDonald's. You know, you need to understand what it is you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, in my mind, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of vague. I might get halfway into it and they change horses on me. So yeah, I mean, we would have some signage that would sign for the car wash, and so that might be an issue.
I don't want to
I mean,
speak for codes
directional
enforcement. I don't think they
signage,
get that, the level of detail of the signs it's car wash or not. But I would, you know, if this moves forward with that condition or it's taken out and added between now and city council, I'd definitely reach out to codes enforcement.
Okay.
We have a couple of questions from commissioners. I'll recognize Commissioner Caudle, then Commissioner Burrs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brian, did we answer, Dr. Highlander's question about the location in terms of alcohol in the church?
Well, I mentioned that they'll have to meet the beer code. I think it's like 200 feet for off-site consumption. I think Karen did the measurement. I don't remember. I don't think I gave her opportunity to speak, but she measured last week. And she maybe has that distance off her top of her head. It's from doorway to doorway for
300 feet.
300 feet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's what our measurement showed.
Okay.
Commissioner Burrs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my first question is for Brian. Right now, she could develop that corner as is with some sort of commercial use, and it could be a convenience store,
Yes, and
even though it doesn't meet the size requirement for their model. but-
correct. That, everything in white, again, it's already on zone CC. It can be used, there are some conditions on that property, but it can be used as a convenience store.
It could be used, so we're only looking at the additional space that she needs to do the full-fledged model that she wants to do, correct?
Which is this parking area in the gray and in the
Right.
back for the, I don't really think you need the back portion here because it's just a driveway into it, but it's part of the development. So a little gray area in the back.
Okay. I don't know what the will of this commission is going to be, but it would be the concerns that I heard from the citizens about, school bus stops and bicycle lane and runners and things like that. I think it would be worthwhile to see if this goes through, because it's still got to go to the city council, as you know, that another conversation about maybe you all could incorporate some sort of bus stop if it gets approved at the level that you want, so that we can create some sort of safe space for kids to work. And I mean, those are the sorts of things that I think, because you could put a convenience store now, it just doesn't meet your requirements. And then listening to some of the things that community is talking about to continue to be, because I know you all are good neighbors. We've talked about some projects in my district as well. So I'll just put that out there for food for thought. Thank you.
Yeah, we are open and willing to things like that. Like I said, we did the traffic study. I feel in the end, we're going to make it a better location. In the meeting, they talked about providing a crosswalk from the church, which also houses a private school, over to our side to make it a safer if the student wanted to walk over there for some reason. So we're open to all of those things. And we want to leave it better than what it is now, safer. I think our traffic study, would show that in the end, we'll leave it safer than it currently is.
Thank
for
you.
Pedestrians and traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Barron.
I know that roundabout intersection really well. You've got a gas station there already. Dunkin' Donuts, Grace construction appears to be underway. I would make a motion to approve the staff recommendation. And thank you for those comments. I would encourage you guys to look at how you can actually improve that intersection. I have no doubt you will.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the staff recommendation that's been properly seconded. Any further discussion on this item from the commission? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Let's move on to new business. Brian.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to move that one case up?
Yes, for those in attendance, we're going to move up a case that has been requested to withdraw, and I believe there might be opposition here for it. It's case MR 2026-0052, and this is the 500 block of Wells Street in North Chattanooga. It's a right-of-way closure and abandonment. So Brian, let's hear that case first since the applicant wishes to withdraw. And it's the next to last one. We figured let's not wait 2 or 3 hours for that if it's going to be withdrawn.
You want me to go through the presentation?
Is there any opposition present?
Yeah, it was.
Do you wish to be heard today, sir?
Well, I'm a bit confused. Withdrawing the case, I was here to disapprove.
It goes away today if it's withdrawn. It doesn't go next month to city council. It dies here.
Okay. Also, can she just bring it back up, or can I go ahead and petition the city about the things I need to do to get the alley open?
It can be brought back up as a rezone, but she would have to go through the process again from start to finish, and it takes a few months. Do you wish to speak at the podium today?
Just briefly, yes, sir.
Okay, then let's hear from the applicant first. Brian, let's do the presentation, and then we'll have the applicant come up and then opposition.
Sure. This is the MR 2026-52. This is a request to abandon right-of-way. The applicant wishes to combine the property with landscaping. You can see on this map here, the highlighted lighter blue color is the right-of-way to be abandoned. Right now, everything abutting this property is single-unit residential. It's in the 500 block of Wells Street. This is the portion of the right-of-way between these two homes going back to like a little, there's like a little flag lot instead of a right-of-way. Here's Wells Street, again, single-family dwellings. Here's again the right-of-way to be abandoned. The applicant's just to the right of this. I have another map of adjacent property owners, but again, this was mapped and legally platted this way. This is a copy of the plat from April 1911. Plat book 6, page 31. You can see it was legally platted as an alley. Again, it's weird because it looks like a platted flag lot. But you see the budding property owners are the Baxters, George and Bean right here. This must be the applicant, the opposition. He owns a lot. This is a legal lot to the right of that flag lot. It was legally platted on this plat in 1911. And Ms. Brown is the applicant. So you see who abuts the adjacent alley. Here's another view of staff recommendation. Staff recommendation was to deny this request. This request would landlock a piece of property owned by Mr. Bean right here, because it is a legally platted lot. If this right-of-way was closed, it would landlock him from having access. But he would get, if this is abandoned, he would get right-of-way on both sides. It could combine it into one lot. But it also would, if abandoned, would provide or prohibit access if somebody wanted to do rear access to their lots. So staff recommended to deny this request.
All right, you can go ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Liz Brown and I live at the 500 Wells Street address, and I had just come to withdraw the application, so I'll speak to this as I can. Yes, my concern that has been there is the maintainment of the easement. The city has not been maintaining the easement since I've lived there, and I think probably since the creation of the plot back in 1912. And so myself and my adjacent neighbors have been maintaining, mowing the area, taking the debris away when things have fallen and trees have come down. And so my main concern was clarity of the property and maintaining that property because we've all been doing that already. So it was just clarity of that. Let's see what else. The concern, I think, about the lot in the back, was mentioned earlier, that the opportunity, from what I understand from the city, speaking to people in the city, is that those two lots would, there would be an opportunity for those two to be combined, and that there would be one cohesive lot there for that whole property, and then the small strip of alleyway between the other adjacent properties would be divided up between those neighbors and myself. My goal is not to gain the land. I just wanted to make that clear. I think that was maybe partially mentioned in the report, but that is not my goal, is to gain the land. It is just to clarify the responsibility. About a year ago, there was a big storm that came through the area, and it had a lot of wind damage, and there were some really large trees and several old utility poles that were on the property. And one of those fell over, and a huge tree fell over, damaging the fence, a neighbor's fence, not my fence, but a structure that is in my backyard. And we all kind of rallied together and took care of that issue. And so, I think just because it's been there for so long, the city isn't upkeeping it. And so I just wanted it to be available to be incorporated into all of the adjacent properties that are back there so that we're able to take care of it.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Brown. Yes, sir. Commissioner Highlander. Ms. Brown, if you could come back up. We have a question. Sorry.
Actually, it's for our chairman.
Yes, sir.
Would the city be responsible for damage to trees coming down in that as it remains right away?
I think I would defer to my lawyer and not automatically say that the city is responsible for any legal damage,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, if I can mention one more thing, like I said, during that storm, one of the old utility poles came down, and as you can see in this picture right here, there is a utility pole that's still there, but when the storm came and knocked over the other one of the big metal cords popped, and right now that metal is just hanging, dangling, and I've contacted 311, and they said, we're not really responsible for that. You need to contact the power company. And so I've been in the process of talking to the power company. EPB's out and said that's not theirs. Now I've been in contact with AT&T.
Have you spoken to your councilwoman?
I have reached out to Jenny Hill, yes, sir. And we've just kind of been playing phone tag. I haven't gotten to speak with her one-on-one, unfortunately. So I was hoping to speak to her before this meeting, but that just didn't happen. So I was looking forward to doing that, to kind of explaining what's there. And I feel like it's a safety issue. I know there's probably not a shot of a back a little bit farther, but oh, right there. Yes. So this, where the entrance to the alleyway is on Wells. And as you can see, it's kind of that intersection where Forest and Sylvan and Wells all intersect, kind of, we call it the Bermuda Triangle of North Shore because of all the weird stuff that happens at this super busy intersection. And it's one of the main routes that the children take from the upper school over to the community center. They go around that curve, and there's already kind of been some safety concerns there that I feel if this were used as a access point and entry point, that would create more congestion and possibly some more safety concerns there. The neighborhood association right now is actually working on making that intersection more safe, trying to come up with a plan to make it to where people know what to do. And there's not really a continual sidewalk around that corner. So one of my big concerns and fears was that making that another entry point there would be a hazard.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments from commissioners? Okay, opposition, you can come up now, please, and you have up to 9 minutes.
Thank you guys and ladies for your time today. I'm glad Ms. Brown's withdrawing, or we might have gotten into a little bit more.
Yes, sir. Can you state your name and address for the record too?
Excuse me, sir?
Can you state your name and address?
Oh,
for the
I'm
record,
sorry.
please?
I'm Mitchell Bean, and I'm on 718 Forest. Yes, when we moved into our home in about 2001, and we're at 718. And at the time, we'd lived there a number of years, and North Chattanooga, if you're familiar with it, I call it the green and blue because you've got your trash can sitting out and your recycle can sitting out in front of your home too. But it's a small lot, and that one that we had, and it really doesn't have that much depth to it. And so a few years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was. I tried to find it in the record, but we were informed that the lot behind us was going to be for sale. And at that time, we heard that there was going to be, there was a plat that would allow us access to Wells Street, which turned out really good for us. We don't have a garage. We don't have a decking, gazebo. I can't get any supplies into my back lot to do any sort of improvements. A gazebo, a deck, just simply a place to improve. So what I can understand some of Elizabeth's concerns, but I think an act of God knocked down those 2 telephone poles, and they were telephone poles. They were not power poles. That's been checked into. In fact, I have pictures here, but since she's withdrawing the case, I won't submit them to you, I guess. But the one remaining pole, and this is something I found out from the city council, is South Central Bell Telephone. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it's hard to find out who to get in touch with at South Central Bell Telephone. But anyway, I found out that poles are owned by someone. So our next challenge is obviously getting that pole taken care of, which then we could appeal to the city, I believe, to open the alley. We can do improvements ourselves according to the regulations. And then I think the process would be to donate it back to the city if we wanted to at that point. As far as the entrance to the alleyway, as you can see, it is not very, very far from Miss Brown's home here. So I think the concerns of any children walking or anything like that is a bit of a moot point because again, it's within a foot, 2 feet, I suppose, of the area. However, I certainly do agree that we have a lot of children that come from the middle school and walk, and there's a lot of traffic on Forest Avenue anyway. But we want to, I know my neighbors, Miss Green, that's on 720, and Felicia, who was on 24, they don't do anything in the back to maintain the property anyway. And I've been, now that we don't have the telephone poles, I can actually go back there and cut it myself when I cut the rear lot. So I don't think any of the maintenance is an issue as well. So anyway, I'm glad for your time, and I'm glad that this is working out as the way it is. And we will hopefully move forward with a nice looking alley that we can use. As I said, my neighbors next to me, especially like Mrs. I'm sorry, my mind's going blank. Patricia George, they were interested in having maybe access to come and build a small swimming pool in their backyard too. So I won't take up any more of your time, but thank you for your considerations.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. What's the will of the commission?
Second.
I have a motion to withdraw that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The case is withdrawn. Brian, let's move on to let's see, case 2026-0036, item 1 under new business on the agenda for rezones.
Sure. This is a request to rezone from RN16 residential neighborhood zone to RN13 residential neighborhood zone. Proposed use is single unit residential. This property is 1.08 acres in size. The applicant wishes to construct 11 single family detached units. That's a density of 10.18 dwelling units per acre. This site was equivalency map from R1 to RN16 in 2025, the new zoning code. There is no R13 property near this site. You see everything to the north, south, east, and west is zoned RN16. One per lot to the north, you do see RN2. Everything abutting this property is single unit residential. There is a 2-unit residential to the northwest to the property, but everything immediately abutting this is single unit residential. Here's just a closer view to show you where this is at. Wilcox Tunnel is just to the left of the screen. Here's the site in red. And to the east is a former Food Line Shopping Center. This is on Wilcox Boulevard heading towards the tunnel. There are some slope challenges for this property abuts Wilcox Boulevard right here. You can see it's really steep, greater than 35%. We'll talk about that in a minute, why that's important. Here's a view of the site from Mary Walker Place. Here's a view of that at Wilcox Boulevard looking down towards the site. You can see the slopes are pretty steep again at that location. This is north of the site, east of the site, west of the site. And then this is Mary Walker Place. This is one of our older plans, the Eastdale Land Use Plan, which is in 1998. It really doesn't have any plan recommendation. It just said new development should be carefully designed to fit in with the architectural style and scale of the neighborhood. Again, that plan's over 30 years old. So we looked at the draft plan of Plan Chattanooga. Again, it's not been adopted or before this body, but we looked at it for guidance because it is in draft form. And it recommends suburban residential with a natural resource overlay because of those slopes. It says some moderate density residential, such as small lots or attached townhomes may exist, but are located on near a major school or near transit routes. This is located towards neither. It's on a no major transit. It is on a major transit route, Wilcox Boulevard, but not near a school. This is the site plan submitted with the request. You can see this is the lot here. All the homes will be oriented differently, facing Mary Walker Place. It's a new street coming in off of Mary Walker Place. Public Works Division, Transportation Division did have a comment on this new road. You see it doesn't connect, it's showing connection to Wilcox Boulevard. Due to topography, they feel that's going to be difficult to do, that connection to Wilcox Boulevard at that location. Therefore, this proposed road, as shown, does not meet the standards of a public street. As a turnaround, some type of turnaround would have to be provided. So this site plan is not workable as presented. As far as the remainder of staff, this request is compatible with adjacent land uses in that it is single-family uses. The request is not compatible with adjacent development form, as this will set a precedent for introducing a new zone and smaller lots and higher density at this location. The lots along Mary Walker Place range in size of 10,000 square feet and larger, have larger lot fronts of at least 66 feet of frontage. Just a reminder, the RN13% recommends 3,000 square foot of lot size and 25 feet of lot width. So that is different. The applicant, as today, can subdivide the property and construct 4 single-family detached units and 4 ADUs on the property as presently zoned. So staff recommend to deny this request.
Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Please come up, sir. You have 7 minutes to present.
Mark Scott, Trinity Emma Construction. I'm just a builder that was trying to lay it out for the owner that wants to have this done, and he was just trying to get as many lots as he could. I think what he just said was there's already zoned whereas he can have 4.
Yes, sir.
And then it said something about and 4 accessory dwelling units.
Yes, sir. Those are small units of 800 square feet or less.
Okay, so he could do up to 8 of those.
He can do up to 4 primary dwelling units plus 4 accessory dwelling units for a total of 8 dwelling units. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr.
before
Byrd.
we pursue that line too far, I just want to clarify, was that based off of total square footage, or how was that number arrived?
Yes, square footage and lot frontage. Now, there's also challenges with those 2 lots. If you look, let me go back to them.
Are you thinking 2 lots off of Mary Walker?
2 lots off Mary Walker, 2 off Wilcox with some type of private drive, getting access. That's how I got them. Because based on the RN16, it has enough lot area and frontage to do 4 units. Now, it's a challenge with that access off of Wilcox, but you can do a private drive because he technically has his road frontage.
Got it.
You just do a private drive for driveway. Now, the ADUs, just a reminder, ADUs cannot be subdivided. So you have 4 single-family detached with 4 ADUs for rental on that property.
Okay. All right, you can continue with any other statements.
No, I'm fine. If you're saying, he can, put those on there, I'll be fine with that.
As long as he was able to get the road access.
Yeah, as long as he
and
can
put
get
in- yes.
access and meet the qualification requirements.
Mr. Chairman, do you think he wishes to withdraw this case?
Well, I
or-
was just about to ask that. If you are okay with not pursuing this, a better outcome, you may want to withdraw, ask that we withdraw it instead of denial.
Well, can I talk to the owner before I do that?
Well, we're going to vote today. You can ask to defer and we can
Come
do
back in
that
30
for a
days.
month or
Yeah, let me do the 30 days.
Make a motion to defer for 30 days.
have a motion to defer 30 days that's been properly seconded. Before we vote, is there any opposition present on this one who would like to speak today? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? We're deferred 30 days. We'll see you next month.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Brian, case number MR 2026-0037.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I believe the applicant, he was here.
I
He's
know the
here.
applicant's here.
Applicant's here today. He wishes, I think, to defer this for 30 days. So, and I think I saw Ridgeside, some folks from Ridgeside here is where they may want to speak as well. So I'm not sure
Okay.
how you
I
want to handle this.
The applicant is present. Is there any opposition present who would like to speak today if we're going to defer it? Okay, seeing none.
I think it was.
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay, come on. Applicant, why don't you come on up? And Brian, do you want to give a brief staff presentation?
Sure. This has been before this body before, I guess about 2-3 years ago. At that time, it wasn't really clear if this right of way ever was officially accepted by the city of Ridgeside as public rights of way. I don't remember what the planning commission did. We sent it on to Ridgeside. Ridgeside, I don't think they took action on it. So basically the case was dead. Go on next. Get to this real quick. Recently, I guess last year, thought I had it marked in here. Last year, these lightish blue, green color areas, that right away was abandoned by the city of Ridgeside, which is abutting the area in red. So those were abandoned, I think accepted and abandoned by the city of Ridgeside last year, 2025. So again, it's never been clear if these rights of way in this area were ever officially accepted because they were done in the early 1900s and Ridgeside was incorporated around 1911, I think it was. And then so it's never really been clear. So the applicant today has come back to abandon this portion. Staff recommended to deny the applicant's request to abandon this portion, the bigger portion in red, but only abandon a little portion to the left that comes off. It provides him access to his 2 lots abutting this property, but keep this right of way open. I think since then, the applicant has talked to the adjacent property owner to come in as part of this application. Here's a view of the alley. The applicant's property is on the left-hand side. I think he wishes to talk to this lady here about getting her as part of the application as well. This is the back of the alley. Here's again the entirety of the alley. So staff recommended again to deny this request to keep this open, but to approve this one to the left. The reasoning was these 2 properties in the back would be landlocked if we abandon this entire right of way here. So staff recommended to leave that open.
Okay, that's very clear. We'll hear from the applicant now and then from opposition.
Shannon Micus, number 7 Ridgeside Road. When I saw the recommendation to deny, I asked why, and it was because denying or closing that portion of right of way would isolate Miss Leela's lot, which Brian's pointing out right there. Miss Leela lives 1 block or 1 house over from where I am, not next to me. So her lot is kind of diagonal to that one. So the recommendation, in order to get an approval recommendation, we would have to be willing to join those 2 lots, Leela's lots, her 2 lots, and then my 2 lots as well. I'm fine with joining my lots, and Miss Leela, she's fine with it too. I asked her and she said she would be happy to. So this 30 days is time for me to get a letter together and present the second case that will get approved.
All right, any questions for the applicant? All right. Commissioner Burrs.
Yeah, thank you. Brian, would you identify for me which lot is Miss Leela's lot that he's talking about?
I believe it's this one. If you see the little pointer on the screen, you probably can't see
Is
it.
that it? Is that correct?
That's
Okay.
the one that would be isolated if that right of way was closed.
But she has said that
She said she's happy
Is she
to
here
join.
today?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
she here
she's
today?
not. But if we get, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to defer it is we didn't have time to get everybody together and come here and talk.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We'll hear from opposition now, and you'll have rebuttal afterwards.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good afternoon. I'm Sam Elliott. I'm a Ridgeside's city attorney. I did not expect to come here today, so, give me a break on that. The city does not have a broad objection to the abandonment, but what the city does have is a sewer line right down the middle of this alleyway. And we do not want to compromise the city's right to deal with that, as the case may be. What we propose you consider is perhaps a 15-foot exception down the middle of it, centered on the sewer line, so that the city would have access and the right to continue working on the sewer line. And plus, and on top of that, a pathway in case neighborhood kids want to walk down through there to the swimming pool or something like that. Something pretty simple.
Any questions for Mr. Elliott? Commissioner Payne.
I have a question. I'm not sure it's staff or Mr. Elliott. So Ridgedale's already closed the rest of this alley, correct?
They've closed.
Side.
I mean,
Ridgeside.
Ridgeside. Sorry.
Yes, it's hard to see in the screen.
The aqua.
The aqua color, that has been, I think Sam can correct me if I'm wrong, in 2025.
This was originally platted in 1911 or 1923 or something like that, and there were several small lots platted off. And the city has came here last year with developers who wanted to take those smaller lots, consolidate them into larger lots and have building lots. And so we did agree to abandon those 1911 or 1923 lot lines. So, I mean, there has been some abandonment in the past for the purpose of creating a new and larger
So my
lot.
question though is the concerns we were talking about, you're going to isolate a lot or two. If that's still, you isolated a whole bunch of lots in there.
No, I think that's what Mr. Elliott is saying. Those are a part of a much larger, it's not seeing on the screen. Those will be re-subdivided with frontage off
Yeah.
Shalford Road.
Yeah,
So
the plat's not been filed yet, I don't think.
No.
No.
So all these back here in the aqua will be combined to create all, I think, 9 lots maybe off
Right.
of Shalford
I
Road.
think eight lots and the city was given 1 lot, so.
So all that's being
For
reconfigured.
recreational purposes.
Any other questions from commission? Mr. Micus, why don't you come back up? You have 2 minutes for rebuttal. Sam, thank you very much.
I think it's a standard practice to leave any utility easements that are there, and that would be the utility easement for the sewer line that's existing or that would be planned, I think that's standard practice. I expected that. So an easement for sewer is something that certainly I was expecting to accept during the abandonment of this right of way.
I have a motion to defer 30 days that's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. I strongly encourage the 2 of you gentlemen to talk between now and next month, and I'll bet you 2 smart guys can figure out something that'll work for everybody.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Brian, let's go to 2026-0038.
Sure. This is in the county. This is a request to rezone from C3 General Business Commercial District. It has conditions on that property to M2 Warehouse and Wholesale District with conditions. It's out in Appleton. Proposed use is contractor's office and storage yard. It's roughly 1.14 acres in size. You can see it's C3. The area in white here, that's the city of Collegedale. That's why there's no zoning showing up. It is in the city of Collegedale. To the north is R2A, to the south is R2A, and then to the south east is C2. These are the conditions proposed by the applicant. There's 2 conditions proposed. Allowed uses are to be limited to contractor's office and storage yard. Storage yards shall be further limited to only storage of construction materials and construction equipment. There is some zoning history on this site. It was rezoned in 2016 from R2A to C3 with conditions. Staff and PC recommended approve with conditions. There's 5 conditions on that property. Condition 1 was related to landscape buffer. Condition number 2 is outdoor storage, limited to 30% for outdoor storage. Condition number 3 is point of access to the site shall be located at the southeasternmost point of Orchard Drive, parallel to the railroad. Number 4, conditions limit the use for these parcels to single-family dwellings and light manufacturing. And then 5 is hours of operation. This was the former Windy River site where they constructed the tiny homes, if you will. The north in city of Collegedale, that's a single unit under construction. There's single unit at the north and then single unit at the south. You can see on this picture that that building is currently there. Here's another view of the site. Another view of the site. This is north of the site, the single-family dwellings under construction in the city of Collegedale. This is southwest of the site, single-family dwellings. This is south of the site, some type of office and single-family dwellings. East of the site, you can see the railroad tracks. And then this is west of the site, single-family dwellings. This is in Plan Hamilton, which recommends suburban residential. It's adopted in 2025 by the Planning Commission. Recommends single-unit detached residential dwellings. Don't remember the discussion we had why this was single suburban residential. It's clearly been zoned C3 since 2016, so it must have been an error on mapping. When you look at a large area and try to get down to parcel level details, it's very hard to do that. So I think that was an error in mapping. It probably should have been a different place type other than suburban residential, as that zone's been there since 2016. Here's a site plan submitted with a request. Again, you can see that building's clearly been there since 2016. The request with conditions is compatible with adjacent land uses and development form. The site is suitable for light manufacturing or office uses since it's near a railroad line. Staff recommended to approve with carrying over the 2016 conditions, and I have here highlighted in orange and red. The applicant did let us know there's some concerns with some of the conditions. Condition number 1, allowed uses are limited to contractor's office and storage yard. The storage yard shall be further limited to only storage of construction materials and construction equipment. That was the applicant's condition. There's no issues with that, and staff is okay with that condition. Condition number 2 is a type B 20-foot landscape buffer shall be required along Orchard Drive, only to be interrupted by ingress egress point. That was a 2016 condition carried over. Condition number 3 is outdoor storage material or equipment merchandise shall be contained by a fence, a minimum of 6 feet height. Again, that was the same condition 2016. We did remove the 30% maximum on storage area that was removed. Point of access to the site shall be located at the southeasternmost point of Orchard Drive and parallel to the railroad. That's the 2016 condition that was carried over. And then hours of operation was the 2016 condition carried over. Again, as I mentioned, the applicant did mention there were some concerns with condition number 2 and 4. Again, those were carried over from 2016. No concerns with condition number 1 on the uses. Again, number 2, a type B landscape buffer, which is 20 foot, is required along Orchard Drive, only to be interrupted by ingress and egress. The applicant has a concern with that, as the existing building is 15 feet from the right-of-way. There is an existing 10-foot power and communication easement along this right-of-way between the existing building and Orchard Drive. There is a 6-foot or 6-inch water main in this location, and the sanitary sewer service is located in this area, so it makes it difficult to comply with the 20-foot landscape buffer. No concerns with area condition number 3. There is no concerns with condition number 5. There is concern with condition number 4. Point of access to the site shall be located at the southeasternmost point of Orchard Drive. The site already has existing second entrance on Orchard Drive at the western end of the existing building that is necessary to remain in use. I think the applicant wishes to remove or amend those conditions. I'll let him speak to that. But this comes to this body with a recommendation to approve with those conditions. How they end up being, we'll discuss.
Brian, forgive me if I don't know the rule at the county, because this is in unincorporated Hamilton County, not the city of Chattanooga. But if this building has been there since 2016, if it was built in 2016 and it's 15 feet from the right of way. How does that mesh with a 20-foot landscape buffer? Was it not inspected?
I reached out to I was briefly aware, this came up a couple months ago. Somebody talked to me about this property. I reached out to Hamilton County Building Inspection. They were aware this property did not meet the conditions. Don't want to throw you under the bus. I'm not sure. The county attorney, I think, was involved at some point, and I don't know if they ever actually sent letters out and if, to the property unless you violate the zoning code. I'm not sure where that stands.
I'm not certain where it stands either. I know that our office was involved, but I'm not sure what came of that. I can look into it.
Yeah, yeah, it does not meet the landscape buffer requirements that was required.
Okay. We'll hear from the applicant. Is the applicant present? Mr. Price, come on up. Do we have opposition present?
Thank you, Mike Price, MAP Engineers. So as Brian has outlined on the 5 conditions, only 2 and 4 are the ones that we would like to amend before this body. The first has to do with the landscape buffer. When this site was originally approved back in 2016, it had a requirement for a 20-foot landscape buffer along Orchard Drive. It was never planted. When later on, 2 years ago, there was a subdivision that is in Collegedale that is known as Chestnut Creek. And when that came through, we had a requirement to widen Orchard Drive to provide fire access, sufficient fire access. So when we did, we went to the tiny home people that owned it at the time and requested for them to dedicate right-of-way to Hamilton County that would allow us then to widen out Orchard Drive to meet the fire department requirements. We subsequently did that. We took it, also, it had to go for a variance to the county, which approved it. Nobody mentioned anything about a 20-foot landscape buffer. But again, the time we did this, they've been in operation some at least 8 years, and no buffer had ever been planted, and it just simply didn't exist. So it doesn't even exist as it relates today. The tiny home people have moved out. So it's a vacant building, it's a vacant gravel area. So what we would propose to meet the intent is to do a planting of shrubs. Why shrubs? Well, we have overhead power easements, we've got water easements, and there's sewer lines. So the only way I know how to create a buffer for the residents that have lived out here for a long time that never got their buffer is to plant shrubs. And that would be a type C buffer. And so while it may not hit the intent of type B, I don't know that we could ever hit the type B buffer now. But if you go out there and you look at the site, if you're able to get shrubbery in a 8 to 10 foot height and plant it along through there, it would change the look totally. It would block their view as it relates to the gravel area, which is where parking and equipment has been throughout the history when tiny homes had it, with what we're proposing as well. So that would be our first request, is to change item number 2 to just do a 10-foot type C buffer. On item number 4, there are 2 entrances. Again, unbeknownst to us, there was only a requirement to allow 1, but 2 are in existence. And a matter of fact, we constructed that as part of when we did the development for the subdivision out there in Collegedale. It's really needed to provide circulation. If you look at the site plan that I gave you, if you'll notice, you'll see a right-of-way of the railroad. They currently use the railroad right-of-way. If the railroad ever comes in and says, no more, you can't use it, that driveway becomes totally ineffective. Thus the need for 2 entrances. So given that the second entrance has been in effect in about 2 years ago, and it's been in operational since then. It also lines up with the alley there on Orchard Drive. So to provide proper access, and again, it doesn't really impact as far as the proposed screening. So we would ask for 2 entrances and a type C buffer, and then we think all the other conditions would be in compliance with what originally was passed, and would be an improvement to the community. And they have met with all of the residents across the street. Hence, you notice there's no opposition. So with that, we would ask for approval.
Commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Payne.
approved with the, scratching the type B landscape buffer requirement and require a 10-foot type C buffer and allowing 2 entrances that currently exist in
Commissioner Payne, are you saying that the,
conditions that staff recommend.
thank you, sir. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Brian, let's go to case 2026-0039.
Sure, this is 1508 East 13th Street. This is a request to rezone from RN15 to TRN3 Residential Neighborhood Zone for proposed multi-unit residential. It's a small lot, 0.15 acres in size. Number of units proposed is 4. That's a density of 26.7 dwelling units per acre. You can see on the screen here, there's no zoning history on this property, but abutting this property, there's been several zoning history requests in the most recent years. In 2019, this property to the right was rezoned from R1 to UGC and was equivalency mapped to TRN3 with conditions. This property to the south was rezoned in 2021 from R1 to UGC with conditions. Again, equivalency mapped to TRN3. Those same conditions carried over to the southwest. This property was rezoned from R1 to RTZ with conditions in 2019 and was equivalency mapped to RN13. And to the southeast of the site in 2020, this property was rezoned from R1 to RTZ with conditions, and it was equivalency mapped to RN13 with conditions. And then further south, you do have a CNT that was rezoned from R1 to R4. So there's been history in this area from rezonings for the past 5 years. It's currently a single-family dwelling. To the north is single-unit dwellings. To the south is single-unit and ADU. To the east is single-unit dwellings, and to the west is single-unit. And if you go further west at Highland Park Avenue, you do see multi-unit residential. Here's a view of the site from 13th Street. Site from the alley, there's an alley that provides access. Here's that rear alley. This is north of the site, single-family dwelling. This is south of the site, some again more single-family dwellings. East of the site. This is the east of the site. That's the ADU for that property. This is the TRN3 property. The west of the site, it's 4 units. I think this is what the gentleman will eventually be constructing on the site, something very similar to this. This is again west of the site, which is 4 units. This is East 13th Street. This is in the Area 3 Historic River to Ridge Plan, which recommends urban residential. It does recommend single family or single unit detached, as well as 2 to 4 dwelling units per lot. Here's a closer view of that place type recommendation, which is urban residential. This is the site plan submitted with the request. You can see it's accessing off East 13th Street with an alley with 4 units. The TRN3 with no conditions is not compatible with the Area 3 plan or adjacent uses because the TRN3 permits a higher density, greater building mass and taller structures than exist in the area. There has been precedent based on the previous zoning cases for TRN3 with conditions in the area. The TRN1 zone does permit single unit detached dwellings up to 4 on one lot, but they have to be in one structure. The applicant in this case wishes to not do that, but have multiple structures. So staff recommends to approve this request with 2 conditions to make it compatible with adjacent neighborhood, which has been the previous history in this area. No more than 4 residential units, off-street parking and access from the rear alley only.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Do you have opposition and an applicant today? If we could have the applicant come forward, please.
The applicant's coming forward. Can I ask a quick question? of staff?
Absolutely, yes.
You've got a good reason for why TRN1 isn't feasible. What about TRN2?
This is
Same thing.
It's the same, except one structure.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So my name is Shatava Lindsay, and I'm requesting the rezoning from RN 1.5 to TRN-3. Right now, it's a single-family blighted property that I grew up in. And what we're proposing to do is a multifamily, 4 units, actually 2 townhomes in the front and 2 townhomes in the back. It's really, really similar. The build is very similar to what's at 1502 East 13th Street. In fact, it's the same model. We're adding some wood fixtures and things around the home, but it's pretty much the same build. So we were assuming it's already been approved, and it would be okay to build the same structure at 1508. I am okay with the conditions, yes.
Are there any other questions for the applicant before we hear from opposition? Okay, thank you very much. I'll call you
Thank
back
you.
up in just a minute.
Thank you.
Opposition, you now have 9 minutes, up to 9 minutes.
My name is Joe Gruce. I live at 1506. I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I know that when they did this at 1502, there's a lot of stormwater conditions that had to be satisfied. I think they had to put some kind of tank underneath the parking lot to reduce runoff. I'm like right downhill from this property. I'm the greenhouse there. I have an ADU. I'm not against density here. I do have problems with water coming into my crawl space when it rains. And so I just want to make sure that runoff is handled the same way they did it at 1502.
I can assure you, yes, that the Stormwater Division of Public Works at the City of Chattanooga would enforce that the same way they did on the other lots.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the staff recommendation that's been properly seconded. Is there any debate on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Brian, how about 2026-0040?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, you didn't have to come back. Thank you very much. We're moving quickly.
Let's see, 2640.
Yes.
This is a request to rezone from RN16 residential neighborhood zone to institutional zone with conditions. Those two conditions are no vehicular access to Ferris Road and 20-foot top C landscape buffer along Ferris Road. The proposed use is a hospital parking lot for the expansion of Erlanger East. You can see the zoning map. To the south is the Erlanger East. It was R4, but it's equivalency map to institutional zone in 2025. All the properties abutting Gun Barrel Road are commercially zoned from CNT to CC. And once you get back off of Gun Barrel Road, you do run into RN16, which is residential in the area. In the red box is what's being requested to be rezoned. Here's the aerial view. Again, all those properties abutting Gun Barrel or some form of medical office, commercial location along Gun Barrel. To the north is single unit detached. To the west is single unit detached. And to the south is the hospital itself. Here's a view of the site from Crane Road. Site from Ferris Road. North of the site on Ferris Road. This is south, which is the hospital. East, this is along Gun Barrel, which is a medical office. West of the site, single family dwellings. This is in the Area 11 East Brainerd Plan, which is adopted in 2022. It recommends mixed residential. It doesn't recommend commercial or institutional uses at this location. However, this area is transitioning. You see it's mixed residential in the East Brainerd Plan, but you do have the hospital to the south. We even looked at Plan Chattanooga, which is a draft. Again, it recommends mixed residential, that same place type recommendation. Here's a site plan submitted with a request, 2 entrance points off of Crane Road into this parking lot. The request to rezone from RN16 to institutional zone is intended to expand the parking lot for the adjacent Erlanger Hospital. While that 2022 Area 11 East Brainerd Plan designates this as mixed residential, the subject site is directly adjacent to existing hospital and medical office uses along Gun Barrel and functions as part of the established institutional area. So it makes sense to this to be expanded this location. The surrounding area reflects a transitional pattern of development. Residential uses remain to the north and west, while medical and institutional uses are located to the south and east of this site. There is an established precedent for institutional zone in the area to the south. Staff recognizes that the institutional zone permits a wide range of uses and development form that could be incompatible with adjacent residential uses, so staff is recommending conditions to mitigate those nuisance issues. So staff recommends to approve with 3 conditions. Number 1, parking lot as a principal use only. You can also have a parking structure as a principal use. hospital on medical uses only. No vehicle access to Ferris Road, which is where the residential development is. And instead of a type B landscape buffer along Ferris Road, staff is recommending a 2-foot high berm with slopes of 3-to-1 side slopes, 12-foot horizontal area, in addition to the perimeter parking, planting, or walls shall be required. That's very specific, and that came from a similar case across the road at Joyner, where we had this same type of landscape berm that was installed to help shield the view of the parking lot from the homes. So staff recommends to approve with 3 conditions. I believe we did receive 3 emails in opposition to this case.
Is there opposition present today? There is opposition. Is the applicant present? Okay, sir, why don't you come on up? Is there any questions for staff while the applicant comes up? Yes, Councilwoman Burrs?
Yep. Brian, I didn't see it in the conditions, and maybe it's somewhere in here. One of the other things I typically hear when developments butt up to neighborhoods is something relative to lighting.
That's in the
Light
zoning
pollu-
code.
light
Yes,
pollution.
yes, that's in the zoning code. The zoning code has lighting standards. That's why
Okay.
we don't include it as a condition. It's in the zoning code.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Come on up. You have 7 minutes to present. Go ahead. Your microphone's not on. Can you hit the, there you go. Now we got
We
it.
on?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're good now.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Adam Schrader. I am the CEO for Erlanger East and North Hospitals. Appreciate you entertaining our request today for rezoning. As stated, we desperately need more parking at Erlanger East. Where we sit there here in the Hamilton County area, it's the fastest growing part of Hamilton County. And we've outgrown that, our current parking structure, current parking lots, and it's a challenge that we have to work through daily. So this will go a long way into helping us expand our parking for our patients and our visitors and our employees as well. Happy to entertain any additional questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, if you will have a seat just for a moment, we'll have the, yes, sir, Mr. Maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question for the applicant. Are you familiar with the conditions, and are those something y'all think are workable?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, let me clarify. My bad, I think on the screen here. Condition number 1 should only say parking lot as principal use only.
Parking lot, what use only?
Parking lot, principal use only. The other things that added, we had talked about as a staff, the actual staff report doesn't mention that. It's parking lot as principal use only.
So nothing after parking lot, principal use.
Correct.
It should be in one. Got it.
Correct.
Okay.
Just be clear, I think I copied that over from a previous staff report.
Got
Mr.
it.
Chairman, I
And are
guess
you-
I should repeat my question.
Sure. Are you good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll hear from opposition now. You have up to 9 minutes.
Hello, my name is Sarah Simmons. I represent ownership of 1801 Gun Barrel Road, which is the Pomerantz Eye Center. I'm here representing my tenant and ownership of the land. We're not necessarily against the parking lot. However, there's been issues with people, patients right now getting, coming on to our side of the property. There's been cases of them using the water. There's been people parking on our lot. So what we're asking is for a 7-foot wall, or concrete wall in separation. So there's no foot traffic, to limit foot traffic and limit, well, definitely cars from entering our lot and our property, to keep it safe for our patients. And that's all I have right now. Just hopefully you'll listen to me and understand where I'm coming from. And like I said, I'm representing my tenant and our property.
All right,
That's it.
thank you very much. Any questions for the opposition? Okay, the applicant can come back for an up to 2-minute rebuttal. You can come back up for up to 2 minutes.
Thank you. In regards to set statements, I'm not sure that a 7-foot wall would keep someone from walking around it necessarily. Given that the singular entrance for this would be off of Crane Road and not Ferris. All that to say, I mean, we can't necessarily control where everyone goes once they leave the hospital or, on their way to the hospital, but happy to, make sure we've got clear signage for the parking area.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Burrs.
So, Brian, the property between the medical offices that face Gun Barrel Road and this parking lot, is that a,
You go back, you can go
well,
back to
on the
site plan.
design, yeah, on the design, is that a berm or some sort of,
It's a landscape buffer. On this
Okay.
site plan, they're not showing any landscape berm. That's our condition along Ferris Road, is to protect that view of the car lighting on the adjacent property. The remainder will be I think it's a 20-foot and 10-foot landscape buffer.
okay. So it probably would be difficult for people to walk through that way. They'd have to go out to Crane to maybe, okay,
Maybe, I don't know.
thank you, that's all.
Commissioner Payne?
Yep, I understand that you don't want to do a wall, but would a fence be something appropriate?
I think that's something we could definitely discuss.
Yeah, I mean, we do that with residential stuff a lot, so
Mhm.
in my mind, I would move to approve staff recommendations and add the language that a 6-foot privacy fence be included on the property line.
Which property line, Commissioner?
Property line between the future parking lot and the Palmer.
Thank you very much. We have a motion to approve the staff conditions and also add the condition of a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line next to Pomerantz Eye Center that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Commissioner Lyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note that the conditions in the staff report reflect what Brian said, not what was on the screen.
Commissioner Payne, was it your intention to give the staff conditions that were said verbally by Mr. Schultz in this meeting?
Oh, yeah, on the screen.
There's a discrepancy between, on item 1, our staff report says parking lot principal use only versus what was on the screen. And I think we corrected it to say that what's in the report was the correct.
Yeah, for number 1, only the first 4 words should be there and then
Yeah.
everything else should be deleted.
But number 2 and number 3 are still there.
Yes, sir.
And number 4 on the 6th property.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyle. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian, case MR 2026-0041.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, we have a recommendation to approve the conditions. I'm not aware of any opposition. Do you want to?
Is there any opposition present for this? What's the will of the commission?
Good with conditions? Yes, sir. Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion to approve that's been approved with conditions that's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, we might have the same situation here. It's case 2026-0042. Is there any opposition present? This is 7083 Pitcher Place.
And this is a special permit for single wide manufactured home. And we have a recommendation to approve.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, case 2026-0045.
Same thing. We have a recommendation to approve. I think we do need to talk about one of the conditions that staff placed on this property. We're fine. We're removing that condition because that was a carryover condition from a previous case that this is to the north of this project, which would impact what the developer's trying to do. I don't think there's any opposition to this case. So
Is there any
staff,
opposition present? Okay.
staff would recommend, we had 3 conditions. One was a maximum building height of 35 feet, 100-foot maximum width per building mass building. And condition number 3 is where we carried over one of the conditions, a 10-foot top landscape buffer along the southern property line. That needs to be removed because that was a condition that's carried over, which was needed, but this time it doesn't need that. And here's a site plan showing why. This part to the north is what's being rezoned today. And we carry that same condition over, impacts this property here, which is about the same developer. That condition applied here from previous case. So keeping that condition impacts this development.
Commissioner Burrs? Sorry, Commissioner Payne, we have a question.
You
from
can go ahead
Commissioner
and make the
Burrs.
motion if you like. I just want to make. Okay. Just to verify for the record, in case any of the Shepherd community are watching and go back and watch this. So there will be a buffer to the north of the 2 combined properties and a buffer to the south of the 2 combined properties, correct?
Correct.
No, he did say yes. We are not instituting a southern border today because that is not the piece of property we're dealing with.
No, and that's already has a condition on it from, I guess, 2 months ago, a month ago. That condition to the south is a 10-foot, which will remain in place.
Okay, so the perimeter of the property, except for that facing West Shepherd Road, the two
I don't know about the
properties will
northern
have-
part. I don't know if Alan's proposing to do the
Yeah,
northern part.
yeah. I just want to verify that. I think it's true, but just for the record, Alan, you combine two pieces of property for this development.
Correct.
There will be a buffer on three sides of the property.
Not on
Well,
this
not the
one.
backside, because there's already a,
Right, Alan Jones of Stone Creek
Yeah.
Consulting, not on this one, because my client member also owns the two properties to the north of this page, and so he's developing all four of these parcels. And so the community was okay with not having a buffer between both of his own developments, because otherwise he's buffering his own development.
right, as long as the neighbors have a buffer between.
Correct, and they
you'll-
do,
Yes,
yeah. The
thank you.
properties he does not control will have a buffer.
Okay, then I will make a motion to approve with conditions. Striking the third condition.
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve with conditions numbers 1 and 2 only. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Ryan, case 2026-0046.
It's been the same situation. We have a recommendation to approve with conditions, and we haven't heard of any opposition present to this case.
Is the applicant present? I see him back there. Are you good with the conditions? 1 second. Is there any opposition present? Thank you. Commissioner Payne, I believe you had a motion to approve with conditions that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. No worries. I like the efficiency. Brian, let's move on to 2026-0047.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, 47, 48 go together. 48 is a mandatory referral for a street closure, and we have a approval with conditions on rezoning and approve on the right-of-way abandonment. Don't see any opposition emails. I'm not sure if there's any
Is
opposition.
there any
here
opposition present to this case or the next one? Okay, there's not.
I'll be glad to go through them if you want me to, but.
Mr. Jones, are you good with the conditions being, okay?
I do have a question for the applicant.
Okay, I'm going to call on Commissioner Burrs for a question.
Is this the property that backs up to Vance Circle?
It is.
Okay, did you hear from any of the residents?
I've not heard from any residents yet.
Okay,
And as you and I discussed, if we want to, at this level or at city council level, add
we
any
can address it then.
additional conditions.
Okay,
that
thank
we
you very much.
discussed.
Okay. What's the will of the commission?
To approve, please,
Second.
with conditions?
I have a motion to approve conditions that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Let's move on to the next companion case, case MR 2026-0048.
And this is the mandatory referral as part of that. It does have approved with two conditions as well. One's
What's the will
related to sewer and plat being combined.
I have a motion to approve with conditions that has been properly seconded. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Case number 2026-0049, please.
I'm not aware of any opposition, but we are recommending deny the applicant's request and approve other. I may need to go through this depending on what the
Let's
applicant
do a
wishes to do.
presentation on
Okay.
this one.
This is a request to rezone from RN3 Residential Neighborhood Zone to TRN3 Traditional Residential Neighborhood Zone. Proposed use is single unit detached residential and an accessory dwelling unit. This property, it's 0.08 acres in size. One unit is being proposed. That's a density of 12.5 dwelling units per acre. You see in this property, this is RN3. And the application was submitted in 2022 to rezone this site from R3 to UGC with conditions. The application was withdrawn at the city council. The site was equivalency mapped to RN3 in 2025. There is no other TRN3 zones near this except to the southwest and southeast. It's a vacant piece of property. To the north is a warehouse. To the east, single unit detached residential. Vacant land to the southwest, and then vacant land to the east, and then south is a 2-unit residential dwelling abutting that alley. Here's a view of the site from East 13th Street. This is a view of the alley from behind the site. This is the industrial building to the north of the site, south of the site. This is multi-unit residential south of the site on East 14th Street, as well as a single-family dwelling. This is east of the site, which is a vacant lot, and again, more single-family dwellings. This is multi-unit residential east of the site on East 13th Street. This is west of the site. This property is in the historic River to Ridge plan. Again, it's adopted in 2020. The plan recommendation is urban residential with single-family detached. ADUs and 2 to 4 units per lot is the primary use in that zone, or place type recommendation, not zone. Here's a closer view of the place type recommendation, which is urban residential. You can just see its close proximity to the National Cemetery. Here's the view of the site plan with one entrance off East 13th Street, and it does have this alley access. The requested TRN3 zone is not compatible with Area 3 plan, adjacent land uses, or existing development form, as it permits a higher density and greater building mass. There is precedent for TRN3 zones, but these do have included conditions. The TRN1 zone, as mentioned earlier, permits 2 to 4 units in one structure. Because TRN13 and TRN3 have similar setbacks, the applicant can construct the proposed single-unit detached and ADU in the TRN1 zone. So staff recommends to deny the TRN3 and approve TRN1 with one condition, and that being alley to be used for access and parking. This was located at the rear of the property. So staff recommends to deny the applicant's request and approve TRN1 with one condition.
Is the applicant present? Is there opposition present? Ma'am, could you please come to the podium? Can you do what you need with the TRN1 traditional residential zone?
Yes, my name is Dixon Brackett. I'm representing Heidi Hefferlin. She had surgery last week and approved me to be here to represent her. My office is at 4300 North Access Road. And yes, she is not opposed to the TRN1 with the conditions.
All right, what's the will of the commission?
Move to approve with conditions.
I have a motion to approve conditions with a second. Is there any discussion on it? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Dixie, you passed. Let's move on to case 2026 dash. Stick around.
Yeah, I need to talk. If you
Uh,
can. You call me, I call you.
So let's move to our next to last rezone, 2026-0051.
Yeah, and staff has a recommendation to approve. We do not have any
Is there
opposition to
any
this.
opposition present? What's the will of the commission? I have a motion to approve that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. We have the final, I don't think this one's important, MR 2026-0053 to something called Pipe Properties at 2501 Chestnut Street.
It's very important, Chris.
Is it? Okay.
Well, I don't know. Staff recommendation just to approve. It's a franchise agreement. At the end of the day, it's unusual. We haven't had a franchise agreement in many, many years. And so basically what they're doing in this franchise agreement, if anybody really wants to understand it, is they're doing, this is basically giving a private property owner the ability to work in the city's right of way. It's going for access to the field, I think within a building, the big blue building that's there. So it's really cool. So staff recommended to approve this franchise agreement.
Is there any opposition present? Have a motion to approve that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Play ball. All right, that brings us to resolutions and amendments. And Karen, are you going to do that part for resolutions and amendments, or Emily? Well, Brian, do you need just a moment?
I'm back.
Okay.
We have one text amendment. Well, actually, it's the one in the city of Chattanooga. This first text amendment, it does two things. You see on the screen. One was we made an amendment, I guess, last year to the institutional zone, but adding different standards for inside and outside. To be clear, if you're inside the urban overlay, these standards apply. If it's outside, these standards apply. Well, we didn't change one of the table headings. It should have said, it says inside, but it really should say outside. That's all we're doing is clearing up that table. Normally that would be a scrivener's error, if you will, from the city attorney's office, but because it wasn't specific in the ordinance, we're doing it today. The
Brian, is
second,
that the only change in item one?
no, the second was real quick. It's on ADUs. We're adding a graphic to the setbacks for ADUs. It has the text in the zoning code, but it is helpful for LDO if they had a graphic to go with that. So that's all we're adding there.
What's the will of the commission on item
Move to
one?
approve the additions.
Do I have a second? I have a motion that's been properly seconded to approve resolution and amendment item number one. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Brian, continue with number two.
Sure. This is the second one, you've slept since then, but this was before this same body about 2 years ago. It was the creation to amend the Hamilton County zoning regulations to add a new zoning district, if you will, to the county zoning regulations. That was called a Parks and Recreation District. And as part of that, to add a special permit within that zone for a rural retreat. That was presented this body in August of 2024. There hasn't been any changes since that time. This went to the front of the county commission. The county commission deferred several times, waiting to the adoption of Plan Hamilton. Wasn't clear Plan Hamilton was going to be adopted by the county commission, so ultimately staff recommended that instead of being deferred and deferred and deferred, to be withdrawn. County commission did withdraw that, so it's back. They want to bring it back up for adoption again. So again, staff made no changes to that zone since 2024. And it does help fulfill the recommendations of Plan Hamilton. And staff would recommend approval of this new zone. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that, if you want to go through the entire thing of what it looks like.
Is there any opposition to this? We do have opposition present. Ms. Helton, come on up and we'll hear from you.
Kim Helton, 8618 Snow Hill Road. Under the definitions of agricultural, it says single-family dwellings and any additional dwellings that are accessory to the principal activity of agriculture. So that's a question of how many single-family dwellings can there be? You know, exactly what does that entail? Under fairgrounds, it says there can be carnivals, circuses, concerts. If you're living next to a park, that could be a problem with noise. For retail goods and establishments, there's also nothing in here for conditions for noise, lights, nothing for buffers in this whole, this whole document. There's nothing for buffers, landscape buffers. Some of the permitted uses, country club, that's for members and invited guests, which doesn't seem in keeping with a public park or a park setting. To have areas that, the public can't get into. There's a fairgrounds, amusement parks, amusement park rides. There's several things in here that could be, nuisances for people that live next to parks. The setbacks is 25 feet side, front, and rear, and the building height is 50 feet. That's higher than any of the commercial zones are allowed. So if you live next to a park, you could all of a sudden have a 50-foot building 25 feet from your property line. This doesn't seem in keeping with a park either. And it's not consistent with what the subdivision regulations allow in other zones. If you go over 35 feet, you have to get a special permit. It has to be set back even more for every foot over 35 feet. So that, there's a lot of things in here that aren't in keeping with what's in the regulations right now. A lot of these uses are commercial uses, which just doesn't seem like it's appropriate if it's a park and a recreation area. There's some terms of passive recreational facilities, passive recreation that don't seem to be defined. And to have hotels and resorts in a park where the public cannot access, swimming pools, things like that. It just doesn't seem like that's appropriate. If you have a public park, the public can't access everything in the park. There's no buffers. There can be campsites, so there's no buffers for smoke, noise, lights. There's no noise, reduction, anything like that occurring with this. No hours of operation. You have athletic fields. several things in here that could be nuisances, and there's not really anything that addresses those nuisances in this. So those are uh, my problems with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elton. I'm sure many of those things are addressed elsewhere in regulations that aren't necessarily zoning regulations, but I'm going to call on Commissioner Janeway to address some of those things.
Yeah, so really the intent of this is to allow for some mixed use opportunities in current Hamilton County owned parkland. The best example would be McDonald Farm. I think our vision for that property eventually, for the part that we're retaining, is that we would continue to have our county fair there. There may be opportunities there for lodging, whether we rent some of the land to the private sector or whether the county decides to invest in some type of facility. There's also existing single-family homes on the property that I think the intent would be that we would use some of those homes for events and/or overnight accommodation possibilities on the part that we're retaining. Again, this is just a way so that you don't have to kind of spot zone all on one property, little slivers of commercial and/or other things, and have to get special permits for things. And I would just point out too that this is a new zone. It doesn't give anybody these uses by right. This zone doesn't exist anywhere in Hamilton County right now. So any property that would want to use this zone, they would have to come before this body and county commission for those approvals. So there'd be plenty of time for this body and the elected body to go through those uses, what it butts up against, condition it, limit uses, all that would be available to county commission should somebody want to use this zone. But what it does do is allow for a zone that encourages some tourism and also encourages preservation of land in the unincorporated areas of the county.
Thank you, sir. What is the will of the commission?
Should I?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Highlander.
I appreciate what Mr. Janeway is saying, and I agree with him on McDonald Farm. I can see the uses there. If we do this as a general, some people in my community have been very concerned that, and maybe you can answer this, is that this may be utilized in property adjoining, say, Harrison Bay State Park or Booker T. Washington State Park, and they're concerned that hotels could be built there 50 foot, and they're I agree with you on McDonald Farm being developed that way, but when we do it generally across the county, it could open up Pandora's box, and that's my. Could you answer that for me?
Yeah, Brian, I think we had an acreage limit on the hotel, right?
Well, on the overall Parks and Resort District, it had to be 50 acres.
Yeah, so it would be 50-acre parcels or larger, which I'm trying to remember. There may be one next to Harrison Bay, but either way, the commission would have to vote to approve that rezoning. And furthermore, Plan Hamilton is, we got pretty specific on labeling most of that land countryside residential, which would prohibit at least this body from recommending that. So that would be some of your protections. And I also, you would probably need sewer for a 50-foot high hotel. I mean, some of the developers in the room could probably answer that better than I could, but I would assume that a 50-foot high hotel, you would need sewer or a lot of land to do extensive septic work. So the likelihood of any parcels near existing state parks being able to even do that physically is slim to none.
Mr. Chairman, if I can also clarify what Mr. Janeway was talking about. You know, we have two things going on here, the Parks and Resort District. You have to have that district in place. Then if you want to do a hotel, you have to apply for this special permit, which is approved by the county commission. You may have the zone, but may never get approved the special permit for the hotel.
Thank you. Any other discussion from commission members? Yes.
Yeah,
Commissioner Byrd.
two things that are jumping out to me here is that there's a maximum building coverage of 20%, but it's not clear to me that there's any kind of maximum impervious coverage in here unless it says accessory uses cannot exceed more than 10% of the total acreage. I don't know if parking is considered one of those accessory usages. I just don't want to get into a scenario where you've got 50 acres and all of a sudden you got, you know, it could happen where you got 20 acres of parking if you want to turn it into flea market or Dollywood or something. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see some kind of protection there. And then the other thing that Ms. Helton brought up is the maximum building height of 50 feet with a 25-foot setback, that does seem challenging to me. I think I understand the 50-foot rule. I'm thinking of, the hotel that they built at one of the state parks recently, beautiful hotel, definitely around 50 feet tall, looks great, in keeping with this kind of zone. But with a 25-foot setback, I can see how that would be challenging to neighbors. So I don't think it changes how I'm going to vote on this right now, but I would challenge the county commission to take a look at it and maybe fine tune some of these things as we go through it. Maybe that stepped back height requirement where, yeah, you can do 1 to 2 stories if you're within 25 feet, and then step it back for higher buildings. We do that in other zones. So I just want to put that out there. I think this is a cool idea. I think it opens up a lot of neat opportunities, but I think it could use some fine tuning.
I would just, just as a quick rebuttal to that, if you think of McDonald Farm, and its proximity to Coulterville Road, if you were to put a hotel, you may want it 25 feet from the road, just depending. So I think there's instances where you may need it that close to something. Now, the elected officials have the opportunity, if there's existing single-family homes or a farm or something next to, then they would have the opportunity, obviously, to condition that and move it farther away. But I would, in this instance, I would like to give the elected officials the flexibility to be able to do that if they need to do that.
Yeah, it's more the side and rear setbacks that concern me. The front, that makes sense, certainly.
May I, Chairman?
Absolutely, yes.
I understand what Mr. Janeway is saying, but I tend to agree. I think we definitely need to fine tune it in the county commission. I definitely think that it needs to be fine tuned and not just carte blanche accepted. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. What do you say we get this to the county commission? Do I have a motion? I have a motion to approve. Has it been seconded? It's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I missed, who made that motion? Matt. Who was the second?
Brenda Jean.
Oh,
Who up?
I think Nathan.
Nathan. Let's go to item 3 and see if we can send another resolution or 2 over to the Hamilton County Commission.
And all these new zones recommended are coming out based on Plan Hamilton. One of the things we talked about, I think Karen mentioned last week, is this rural corridor overlay to help implement the rural corridor place type. First is, what is the overlay? What is an overlay? Overlay zone is a tool to deal with special requirements and is placed over the existing zoning to alter some of the zoning regulations. So you have the base zoning in place, overlay comes on top, adds additional standards to that. The intent of this rural corridor overlay is intended to implement the rural corridor overlay found in the Plan Hamilton, which is the comprehensive plan for Hamilton County. It's primarily to address new subdivision development within the rural corridor. The intent is the setback is to protect the character and environmental integrity of the rural landscape. So where would this rural corridor overlay apply? The overlay applies to all new major subdivisions of commercial and residential property submitted to Hamilton County Planning Department after the effective date of adoption of the Hamilton County Commission of this overlay. Any combination of adjoining staff-approved subdivisions by the same applicant of more than 10 lots cumulatively with frontage on the same existing roadway must conform to these requirements. So if you're doing staff-level plats, you do 2 today, 2 tomorrow, and get around this. This is what you can do that based on that requirement. Overlay, just to be clear, does not apply to individual homes outside a major subdivision except as noted above, which is the staff level platting. Also, to be clear for those watching or in attendance, any existing or future agriculture use and property not going through the major subdivision process or meeting the cumulative conformity requirement is not required to implement these buffer and setback standards as noted in the rural corridor overlay. What are those standards? And we have a map that goes in this overlay of where those rural corridors are mapped and adopted by the Plan Hamilton in the Plan Hamilton document by the Planning Commission, which are the green lines of this map. A 50-foot setback from the right-of-way of an existing roadway for any structure and water quality features except as noted below, which is the subdivision entrance sign, those would be exempt. So any structure from rural corridor must have a 50-foot setback, including detention ponds. Development standard number 2, A 30-foot type A landscape buffer is required along the entire frontage of an existing roadway except for ingress and egress. So those are the standards that would be applied on top of the base A1 or R1 along a rural corridor if you're within this overlay.
Is there any opposition?
I got a question.
Okay,
I hate to
Commissioner
interrupt.
Payne?
Yep, so on that, when you were talking about that, go back one slide. The overlay applies to all new, no, any combination of joining staff approved subdivision by the same applicant of more than 10 lots cumulatively with frontage on the same road. So I understand what you're trying to do, but should there be a time limit on that? Because the way are you saying like if I had one and I had 10 lots and 6 years later I came back and I had another 10 lots, I would not be allowed to do it because I'm the same applicant?
Let's see.
The second paragraph there.
The intention is that you don't get around doing the buffering requirements by,
I get it.
you know, right?
Yeah.
But
And
the
so
way it reads to me, I mean, it looks like there'd be a time constraint or something, because a lot of times what happens is you'll do a development and another property owner will approach you, or the same property owner wants to sell you more. And so I guess what I'm trying to make sure of, you don't limit the person from doing what someone else could come and do.
I've
Right.
seen some places put like a 2-year time period, could be more.
Something.
I don't know. I see what you're saying. That yeah. I don't know what that appropriate time period is,
I
but
mean,
it's a
15
year,
minutes, probably.
15 minutes.
A year, 2 years, whatever it is, it just needs to be thought about, I guess is what I'm telling you.
is there a time that planning commissioners would want to add to this as part of maybe a motion?
It would probably be, it would need to be longer than 2 years, because I've seen some developers take 10 years to build 10 homes. I mean,
I'm trying, well, but if you're applying, I mean, that would be one plan to come to you like, I mean, 3 years? I mean, there needs to be something that, because you could technically totally different development, you know, I mean, you'd be stopped from doing it.
I mean, we've also had instances in the county where, I mean, I'm thinking through previous approvals that we've done. We've had plats connect onto other plats, and
Sure.
I don't know that just a time constraint, you'd almost have to say so many lots off an existing entrance to one of these roads or something like that. I mean, there would have to be, because the whole point of this is that in the future, probably when my grandchildren are alive, when we've got a wide Newtowa Georgetown Road, we don't want to buy thousands and thousands of homes. It'd be better if we reserve some space to do improvements. And so that really applies to any homes. I mean, we don't want to prohibit a single home that already exists from doing what they want to do. Say they want to add a second residence on their property for their parents or something like that. But I think the intent is to limit development that close to the road, period, because the more of it you do, the more expensive it is for future generations to do improvements, and they will need to happen.
Yeah, so, I mean, is this got anything to do with the setback? I mean, how far are you, what is this? I guess I'm lost. How far does it?
Yes.
It's a
50-foot setback. So any, like a plat we mentioned earlier, the first 2 plats, their detention pond would not meet these requirements. You have to push it back 50 feet for those future widening situations.
Sure.
And so it applies to structures and your water features.
Right, but you are setting back regardless.
Yes. As of right now, there is no standard other than 25-foot
So
front
I'm
setback.
not saying you forego that. It's 50 feet. If you do 1, 10, and 5 years later, you want to do another 10, you still got to meet that 50-foot setback. I'm asking.
So is it the buffer that you have an issue with, or what are you?
It's the number of lots. It's saying 10 lots at the end of it, because technically you could have 10 lots. And then a year later, yeah, another 10 lots. And that was what I thought he was trying to get at. It's like, you have to stay back 50 feet no matter how many you do, is what I thought.
That's not the existing standard, though. And so this is saying that one house won't do it, but once you start to build those together, it kicks in. And so right now, what the front setback might be 25 feet from the right of way with no buffer. And so this is trying to say, we don't want that situation to be, to build up. And so it negates the intention of this. And so you would not have to do it for the one house, that second house, or maybe, and so what it's trying to say is that once you have enough of those, we don't want to impact a single homeowner, but once we have something that starts to look like a major subdivision, it's intended to kick in.
Okay, well then I'm okay with that anyway. Just I don't know how to approach it, but that's fine.
Commissioner Highlander.
Just briefly, I want to say, thank you, Mr. Payne. I appreciate your point. I mean, it's a good point, but I think what Mr. Janeway is saying, I agree with you 100%. We have kicked the can down the road on setbacks, and we need to widen roads for safety's sake and for further development. We can't develop when we've got 2-lane roads. We can't do it. So I think it's being futuristic to widen the setbacks so that we can have the opportunity without having to buy a whole subdivision full of homes.
I'm with you.
To widen the road. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Is there opposition present?
Not opposition. Kim Hilton, 8618 Snow Hill Road. So in the plan, it also has adequate right-of-way as determined by the county engineer should also be required as a condition to be given to accommodate an additional lane if a rezoning case is requested along the rural corridor overlay, but that is not in this. So I just curious, why was it left out and why is it not in there as well?
The language says, I believe, with rezoning. So we decided to handle that through rezoning on a case-by-case basis. And some of the corridors are state routes, and so it would require coordination. So I believe if you, I don't have it in front of me, but it says it's a rezoning. And so we are going to, the decision was to handle that on a case-by-case basis through
And state
rezoning.
law prohibits us as staff from requiring people to dedicate land without this county or city purchasing property. You can do it as a condition to rezoning.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
What's the will of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion that's been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the ayes have it. Ryan, let's go to our last resolution.
Sure, this is similar. This is related to the countryside residential overlay district or place type. Again, it talks about buffering setbacks and it adds a steep slope vegetation policy and planning requirements that's mirrored off the city of Chattanooga. Where does this overlay apply? Where does it apply to? The overlay applies to property going through the major subdivision plating and development process. So you have to be going through a major plating process for these standards to apply. Just to be clear again, any existing or future agriculture use in property not going through the major subdivision plating process is not required to implement these buffers and standards in the countryside residential place type. As we just talked about, any combination of adjoining staff-approved subdivisions by the same applicant must conform to these requirements. Here's an overlay map that will be in that zone showing where the countryside residential overlay would be. That's area in gray. So if you're in that area in gray and you're doing a major subdivision, you have to comply with the countryside residential place type standards. And those standards are the following. Again, this comes directly out of, not making this up. This comes out of Plan Hamilton, which went through that public process, not changing anything. So these are the standards. You have to do a perimeter buffer. A minimum of 2-inch caliper trees shall be installed 30 feet on center around the entire perimeter of development. If this standard placement is impractical due to the presence of utilities or natural features such as a floodway, then trees shall be installed as close to this spacing as possible. And condition number 3 is the perimeter shall be determined as that property identified as being platted along on a final plan. Talks about buffering around, number 2 talks about buffering along existing right-of-way. A 30 type A screen shall be installed along the existing right-of-way. It also adds language that's very similar to the codes enforcement or building inspection because it's in the zoning code as of today about existing woodlands. So they're familiar with that and can enforce that, which is number 2. Ingress and egress to the proposed use and utility lines may cross the buffer provided they minimize the amount of buffer used for that purpose. Again, that's already in the landscape requirements. That's adding that so it's clear. The buffer area shall be included as part of the project site for the purpose of calculating density. And number 5, buffer area shall not be used for any building or use, accessory building or use, parking or loading area, storage area, or other principal use or accessory use except as specifically permitted in this ordinance. So it's basically describing what that buffer shall be. We also added a steep slope vegetation, which is recommended in Plan Hamilton. It's basically, they appeared to like what Chattanooga did, so we copied that straight word for word from that. We did make some changes to the zones, but won't get into all that unless there's questions about it. But you have to replant or revegetate on slopes that are disturbed over 30% or more of slope. It gets into the square footage based on lot size and area and how much square foot coverage you have to provide. It talks about shade trees and stuff like that. It has all this stuff in here, so I won't go through that unless there's questions. And then there's incentives for preservation of existing trees. And all that's pretty much out of the straight word for word, with the exception of the zones from the steep slope vegetation. And again, this is recommended out of Plan Hamilton that we adopt this. And the easiest way to do that is through this countryside residential overlay.
Mr. Chair, just I would like to note that, so like, the zoning map on like Hamilton County GIS, where it has the zoning map, it'll have the zoning map, and then it'll have the countryside residential overlay, and it'll have the corridor overlay, rural corridor overlay. So someone will be able to, check their property and see that there are multiple things going on that property. So that's a little bit different for Hamilton County zoning regulations to have something other than that base zoning map. But these are mapped, and these map layers, the maps will go into the zoning regulations, but those map layers will become part of that digital map record. So it should be, I know someone can't look at that map and read that and necessarily tell if their property's on there, but that would be a GIS layer that someone should be pretty easily able to pull up their property and see whether those overlays are triggered.
Especially during enforcement, because it's easy to miss these standards and what would apply, because they're in different locations. It's not, the standards are not normally in the zoning code, they're in the plan. So they're easy, as you know, today there was things that were missed on several through the plats from not only RPA, but Hamilton County review staff as well. We missed those because they're in a different document. This helps with that, puts it all in one place. Everybody's following the same standards.
Sorry, thank you for that report, Brian. Is there any discussion from the Planning Commission? Commissioner Byrd.
Yeah, the steep slope planting requirements, if you can go back to that. My experience with these requirements in the city of Chattanooga is that they've been really difficult to apply, and we've run into a lot of issues in interpretation. I know just in speaking to folks over at LDO that they're trying to come up with some kind of written policy interpretation of how this actually works, but that's still a work in progress. I don't know, Chairman Anderson, if you can speak further than that or not, but I have a hard time recommending that these particular requirements be applied elsewhere at this point, especially in a different jurisdiction where there's going to be a different process and a different interpretation. We've even run into scenarios where in order to meet these mitigation requirements, we actually have to disturb more property because so much of the site is sloped. We disturb what we need to build the building, but then we also have to go and disturb an additional amount of steep slope to plant these mitigation requirements. And so in certain cases, the way this is written, it's working against itself. It sounds good on paper, and the idea behind it is sound for sure, but the implementation, in my experience, has been very difficult. So just throwing that out there.
Commissioner Janeway.
I was just going to add, Brian kind of hit the nail on the head perfectly when he talked about being able to implement the buffering policies, because, we're trying to do this now because we have Plan Hamilton adopted and we try to do it from a subdivision permitting standpoint. But the way the county works is that the building department is the enforcement arm of zoning. And so sometimes the building department doesn't know, they don't know to reference necessarily Plan Hamilton. They just look at zoning code. And so that's why it's important to have this stuff in zoning code, so that when the building department does go and enforce these things, they know exactly where to look and it's consistent. And it's the same place they've looked for 30 years. So
I would also add, just using the Chattanooga zoning ordinance as an example, we've amended that regularly after the new zoning ordinance was adopted. We've used it regularly and amended as people have used it. So I don't think that's a failure of code if we revisit, or this gets revisited by Planning Commission in a couple months. So as you use it and refine it and have questions, which is, hopefully as you're enforcing it, I think things will come up. And I think that's a good opportunity to make it easier for those enforcing it or using it. So that is something that may happen, but we have noted, when you get a new ordinance in place or new regulations, sometimes you have to revisit that a little bit, over time.
I believe we said, Karen, we would review the new zoning code update quarterly for the first year and annually after that. And we did it monthly for the first year, and we're doing it quarterly here a couple of years after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, you catch things you didn't, I think Commissioner Johnson, it sounds good on paper till you start doing it. You
Right.
realize there's things you got to change.
The thing about these codes is they always have to be examined
They
and
do.
reviewed and look for ways to improve. Is there any opposition on this case? Come on up.
Kim Helton, 8618 Snow Hill Road. So there is something under perimeter buffer that doesn't seem to be in here, and that's behind said buffer require 25-foot rear setback and 10-foot side setback if the side of the house is adjacent to the buffer. Also, there's nothing in here about the floodplains.
I can answer the one on the setback. So by the time you put the buffer in place, the building would be in that buffer setback. And so I don't think that was intent. We went through it a couple times and determined, and it appeared that, and I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry, but it appeared that the building would be in the buffer setback for the 30-foot, by the time you have the 30-foot buffer. And so we decided that that must have maybe just been an oversight. And then Nathan can speak to the floods. We weren't addressing the flood in this. It seems to be more of a holistic concern. And so it's just not in this, but Nathan might want to speak to that.
Commissioner Janeway?
Yeah, on floodplain, I think Chairman Collier's actually brought it up before, and our two licensed engineers of the county, I think, have the same concern that the floodplain regulation, for lack of a better word, that's in Plan Hamilton is unclear, and we're not exactly sure how to enforce it. And so we didn't want to just adopt that language and not have something very clear and enforceable. So I think what you'll see is we'll work on a standalone floodplain regulation here in the coming months.
Okay. Under perimeter buffer, it says 30 feet on center, but it's not giving you how wide that buffer is. That's why it said 25-foot rear and 10-foot side, because under the plant 2-inch caliber trees, it's just a minimum 30 feet on center. It's not really a 30-foot buffer on the perimeter. It is on the right of way, but not
Yeah.
the perimeter.
I think we determined that it already has a setback, but I'm happy to talk to Ms. Helton afterwards. We did go through it a couple times, but if we missed something, I'm happy to talk to her.
Because I know some of the setbacks are not 10 feet, they're less than 10 feet, like
Yeah.
for PUDs and things, so.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to her and see if we missed something.
We can check it, and if we miss something, if y'all don't want to, I can speak at commission when it gets there, hopefully, and I mean,
Sure.
whatever we need to do.
What's the will of the commission? Commissioner Maybe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We can go ahead and have the vote, but I do have a comment I want to make after that, if that's appropriate.
Sure, I have a motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion that's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Commissioner Maybe, you had a comment.
Yeah,
The ayes have it.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it's just something I wanted to kind of put out there. I think that, if you're just happen to come to one meeting or you're following one case through the process, I think oftentimes it's easy to see actions that this commission takes as is not taking into account concerns that existing residents have in an area. And I can see that in isolation. But I would just like to say today is an example of this body taking into consideration multiple of their concerns that we've heard over the last several years. I mean, just a few that I would point out is, we're looking at regulations on steep slopes, right-of-way considerations, major buffering requirements on new development, and then some vegetation requirements at all. So I just don't want that to go unseen, and to make sure that the public at large does understand that this body takes those concerns serious and is doing things to address it. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Maybe. Do we have any staff updates, Karen or Brian?
I'll just give a brief one. The city of Chattanooga is City Council is moving Plan Chattanooga forward to Planning Commission. So there's a strategic planning meeting next Tuesday. We'll do a presentation to council. And then if we get the go-ahead from council, most likely we will do a presentation to Planning Commission in May and then have it on Planning Commission's agenda in June, just to get the go-ahead from council on the 30-day notice, because that is the comprehensive plan for the city of Chattanooga.
All right, thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right. Next, we have public comment on non-agenda items. We have up to one potential speaker. Would you like to come up, please?
Kim Helton, 8618 Snow Hill Road. So last month I asked for the minutes to have a little bit more detail about why, why opposition was against something. And I was told that you follow Robert's Rules of Order, but I can't find that in the bylaws. Anything about following Robert's Rules of Order. Is that somewhere else?
I believe it is in there, but let me double check. I have to pull them up.
I've got a copy here. I've looked at it several times.
I think we can find that and
And-
get that to you, but,
Okay.
but the way our meeting runs, we don't wait while we find it. So
Okay.
you can say
So-
whatever you want. We'll get
Okay.
back to you with an answer. Yeah.
So, under the Tennessee Code, it says each regional planning commission shall adopt rules for the transaction of businesses, which it shall include, but not be limited to, requirements for regional planning commission to make findings of fact, statements of material as evidence, and reasons for its actions for each motion or action, which should be included in the record. So, that's why I'm wondering, this seems to be calling for a little bit more than just somebody spoke, and it calls for statements of material evidence, which is some of the things that the opposition does present evidence. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Helton.
I will say, she just mentioned evidence. That is part of our records. It may not be in the minutes you see here, but it's in our files. So
Thank
we
you,
do
Brian.
have that evidence. Everybody submits something, we always grab it right here at the very end. So we do have that in the records.
Thank you, Brian. Can someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting? I have a motion that's been properly seconded by Commissioner Payne. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Do we have any other business to conduct today, Karen? Anything else from the commission? How about Commissioner Payne? All those in favor? All those opposed? So moved. We are adjourned.